Or should we already seen that?
Yeah.
Copy.
Well,
Thank you.
you know, it could go 2 hours, it could go 30 minutes. It all depends on how many questions you guys ask in reality, because I'm sure that the presenters will be done with theirs in 5 minutes each, so. On average.
Hello. I did, yeah. She brought me in 2 stacks to the, I haven't had time to check them and see. I mean, one upstairs we already have, so we'll for sure have those, but yeah.
That's what forced us to get serious.
Yes.
You guys had one before, like,
I just have to ask, we can order them.
I know. That rubber probably.
She's got a hole in the lump, maybe longer than that. Yeah. Yeah, I have 2 stacks about this high to look through, so.
I just had a few, graphic novels between the ages of like 5 or 8.
Yeah, which we don't have a lot of, so.
Right, which is why I was like, I don't know if you want them.
Yeah.
But I was like, oh, you think of the shelves, my husband saying, mine doesn't put on the shelves, I'll put on my shelves.
Yeah.
I was like, okay.
Okay, well, good to know.
Yeah.
Yeah.
Because he's laughing at, it's like that, we love it, we are just going to read graphic novels. So that's why I always look at it.
Hey, when I was growing up, comic books were junk. You weren't supposed to read.
Oh, it's good that, school day.
All you're reading.
Yeah, well, it's supposed to be, actually, my kids are getting very much into, word assistant programming. Which is like, they're having to read this, or like, functioning syntax, like, really looking at that's like, this is very, really well done.
See, it drives me crazy. I have to have words. I just, but whatever gets them to read, it doesn't matter to me. Yeah.
Well, I was.
Not too bad. So,
Yeah.
it's early. It is.
Yeah.
My little sister, this was great. But I was looking, and that genre of graphic novels proposed with the strong female lead taken off.
Good.
I really didn't need to give her,
Those ones.
yeah, I didn't find her interested in gossips and.
Yeah.
There's a couple of perhaps, but you have a series, right, has a scientific, silly and sassafras.
Mhm.
It's a small, short series.
Mhm.
There's about 9 of those.
Yeah.
I think my voice to the female lead, but I think grows with them.
Yeah.
I'm excited.
Good.
But we'll hopefully we're doing basketball game.
Except how far early for that.
What's that?
Yawning.
My coffee, I've had tea all day and no, you don't want to know something? The only thing that helps me, 5-hour energies. So caffeine really doesn't, affect me a whole lot. If I take a 5-hour energy, I'm good. Oh, I think that ICAP does provide us.
Maybe I'll just end here.
No, I think, no, you fall under ours.
Okay.
Yeah, and I think, I believe that ICAP does have some type of. Yeah, what they're gonna do is they're gonna make sure that we have protections in place,
They
so.
said they could offer the 2 weeks.
Do I know Jane is working on it? That's who's wanting to sell you a plan? No, because, the D-minus. So we bought all our computers and printers and everything from them. And they sold us. And they don't want to work on them anymore. We were having problems with our desktop printers. Right, and all of a sudden, they're all the same problems. You just go offline and you have to turn them on, right? Come back online, right? And I said, I do this software. And I said, we don't work. And I'm like, really? No, we don't do the desktop. No, just really like that.
Yeah.
They did. I. I didn't like, so when we were going bids on the phone system, right? Dealing with JNS, it was like, this is what I have. And they, that's not what I asked. Oh, but you can't do that, you can't do this, you can't do that. I said, this is not what I asked for. I said, somebody else can give me this. Well, okay, I guess we can get that. You just told me you couldn't get it, right? And
Sister-in-law over there. She's good. She's doing good. Now she can know that about her. Unfortunately, no. I know.
Yeah, it is. Yeah, but you don't have it on there, so it's just static. Yeah, we have the YouTube program, somehow we set and taking up the wrong audio source. And so we have to cut that over.
I'm not convinced that are out there.
And,
There's a lot there.
and he adjusted this speaker over here, so it points out and down the line and over this way, so that, you know, you need to look at, it's about, and that.
It's really hard.
How's it going?
Good.
Just need three without getting wanted. You could have knives or something.
No.
Yeah, you can't be trusted.
Jean is blocking.
I'm covered for
Yeah, I see you two are coots. She's on her way out, so she'll
Yeah.
take care of them. Yeah, it is.
It's only cold out there. Just take off these three layers.
It's not short, little thing, and I'm done.
I know.
Yeah.
You know, but we do our part,
Oh, yeah.
you know.
Yeah, I just got off the phone with him. It's going pretty good right now.
You know that.
Yeah.
Yeah, I'll listen to it
Medium.
tonight. Drive my ankle, so I have to go. So I'll let it get home. Yeah, fell on the ice. No,
Yeah.
I was kidding. Right out front of the mailbox. I knew it was there. I wasn't even walking. Reached for it. They didn't know why I didn't walk in the grass, you know. And next thing I knew, I was on the ground, his legs put out, that ankle went. It's like, and then I had to like walk back to the. Yeah. Yeah, I got one nauseous on back. Oh, yeah, that's something's wrong.
This morning, 2 hours.
Yeah.
I need to move on a fire truck.
Yeah. As I said, you know, I don't know why it's so wonky when I was just standing still, you know. I could see them walking, you know. Yeah. But I ran down the street at 7:30 in the morning. Where were you? Just went out to start the car, okay? Oh, well, it's all right, 3 or 4 days, we don't get ours every day. But I can get it from the back, so like, but I was like, oh, okay, I see the ice, I see it's there. Annoyed.
Feels good. It's almost good. Feels good.
Get some backup.
I can.
Built that issue. It's too much.
Call to order the special meeting, January 25th, 2022, 501 Main Street, 5:30 PM. Roll call.
Here.
Altide.
Here.
Garcia.
Here.
Wynn.
Here.
Hellenthal.
Here.
Andrews.
Here.
Marsden.
Here.
Bryant.
Here.
Greenwald.
Here.
All present.
Discussion and review of the fiscal year 2022 to 2023 budget. Turn it over to Cole.
Our first department tonight is the library, and Monica is here to present. Give highlights.
Yeah, I just, we haven't done this in a while. You guys know what our budget is. I mean, I can answer questions on that. I did write up a little bit, since we haven't been here in a while on just, some things that we do and that we are important. So if that's okay, I'll go ahead with that. So, a lot of people think the library is dispensable, and when it comes to budget, we are often the first ones to take a hit. However, the library is a vital part of this community, and here's a few reasons why. We ensure that knowledge and technology are available to everyone, not just those that can afford it. Keokuk's poverty rate is at 25.4%, and the library and its services is needed now more than ever. They having a library grants access to books for those who would not have them otherwise, allows people who are not tech savvy to have a place to go with online job applications, unemployment, and how to navigate websites free of charge. We can provide fax, scanning, notary services at no charge so those documents can get where they need to go. We offer access to our Wi-Fi 24/7, and people do use it. In 2021, we had 17,184 wireless users. We offer hotspots to those who can't afford internet, and there is a waiting list for those. We do programs for patrons of all ages, from story hours to a Keep Fit program for seniors and everything in between. In 2021, we offered 170 programs for adults with 748 people attending. 172 youth programs were offered with 1,326 people. We offered some online recorded options because of COVID restrictions, and those garnered about 6,226 views. We think that shows that people like the library and all it has to offer. Our genealogy collections receives requests almost on a daily basis for researchers near and far. We've actually assisted a researcher in Italy, allowing them to connect with family in Missouri, and have helped the PBS show Finding Your Roots with information. In 2021, 16,430 people came through our doors. We assisted them with book selections, computer help, whatever they needed, with friendly, helpful service. We checked out 31,933 items, which is really way down for us, but because of COVID and we weren't open a lot at the beginning of 2021, that's less. But of those, 22,363 were print material. So those that say that the printed book is dead, It's not true. So all this is to say that we offer things that the community sorely needs. We are committed to helping people, and we do so on a pretty tight budget. We did find ways to reduce our spending for the next fiscal year, as you will see on the highlights on the PowerPoint. But I urge you not to make us a target when monies get tight. We comprise 6% of the general fund, a very small percentage, but the city of Keokuk gets a great return on that investment. So it was short.
Any questions
You guys have any
for?
questions on our
Monica?
budget or anything? No, we've been open fully since May of last year. No, we still offer that, but yeah, we're open full hours since then, since I took over in May, yeah. No, that's okay. We get a lot of that.
So as a reminder to everyone and anyone that's watching on YouTube, the library operates semi-autonomously, and that they have a board that is nominated by the mayor and confirmed by the council. Their budget requests, once you approve the actual amount, they do have the legal ability to move the money around any way they desire. That is under state law. And that's where a lot of this comes from. State law requires us to have a library.
Yep.
State law then says this is how it needs to operate. So they are semi-autonomous. We do the accounting over here, the bill paying and everything, in order to make it easier and flow and keep track of things. I think we took that over 10 years ago.
Oh, to paying our bills? No, we've always brought them over as
Yeah.
far as bills go, yeah. You
So-
did get additional monies that the board was kind of overseeing. That
Right.
was about
But
that, yeah.
But we place those in our permanent fund, and so we don't get to just spend them.
Right,
Yeah.
yeah, designated for the library, but it was all together that way.
Monica, you know, I'm a patron of the library.
I
I go
do.
quite often. So always appreciate what the library does. I see the benefits not only within my family, but within our community day in and day out, being in a school district and working for them. I was super appreciative. I went through the budget and was able to find your 20,000 that you did reduce by going through the line items. So I was really, really appreciative that you were able to work with us during this difficult time.
Right,
Because I know that wasn't easy.
yeah, we're sure
to
willing
do.
to do our part. We just don't want to have to do it all.
Right. I was kind of looking, and this might be more of a question for Cole than it is for Monica, but I'll keep you there. When we
can try.
get down to the general total of the library, just the general total of it, for the new budget, they're requesting the 608,811. It's page 3, but I think it repeats when you do the data.
Okay.
It would be the page 3.
So
The current year was 618,602. Do you see where I'm at?
okay, so I've got my full budget here, not your.
Yeah, I think what I
abbreviated?
can tell you what happens
Because
is
what it
that,
is
The Lee
okay,
County
so
monies.
yeah, what you're counting what it
Mhm.
is that you're counting the county total.
Mm-hmm.
The general fund total is the one. If you look at the general fund total, the current budget is 605,785.
Yep.
And the new budget is 595,994. And that's on page 2 of the library ones.
Okay,
3/4 of the way down there. It
right.
says library total. That is your general fund total.
It's my general fund. Okay.
And then the next page is the county, is what the county contributes.
and that's basically just an in and out. We receive checks quarterly,
Right.
we bring them, they deposit in the city, and then that just comes right back out. So those are not city funds, but county support
Right.
for the library.
So when I see the difference between 605 and 595, that's a $10,000 difference, right?
Right.
Okay,
But-
so the
but-
county, you're
but-
saying,
Yeah,
is what
but
goes in?
what that could be is the additional while there is the $20,000 reduction,
Which I can see, yeah, which I
You can see.
found.
but what it is at the same time, wages are going up, benefits are going up.
Right.
So that is what ate up that difference.
Mhm.
Agreed. So
Right.
I was just worried, and maybe this is bigger than the library, even though I'm getting
It's
there,
okay.
is when we talked about that at like a general fund committee meeting, did we want that off of the, you know what I mean? Like, I don't know if we were very clear on saying that if we wanted that off the bottom line, or if we just wanted it gone. Do you know what I mean?
What it is, if you want it off the bottom line, then they have to reduce more than one full-time employee. They got to reduce more than $20,000.
Which I don't want to do. But at the same time, I do want to make sure that my public understands, because
Right.
even for me, who was on the general fund committee,
Right.
I was like, oh, wait, I found the 20, but yet I don't see
Right,
it. And
yeah,
sometimes when you're
it-
reading this
It
for the public,
it
I
does
want
lower
them
it because, yeah, with the increases,
Right.
it's 10,000 to
Right.
I just
wages
want the
and
public
health
to be
insurance
aware
and stuff.
that
Sure.
even though, because they might just go straight to the total, like what I showed you, and
Right.
it's like,
It
hey,
doesn't add
that's
up,
only
yeah.
10. So I
But
just want to be
but even
very
during the
clear.
general fund discussions, I was factoring in increases in wages and benefits.
Exactly.
I guess a question that goes along with Linda's is, if we eliminated a full-time position, how did the budget increase for the cost of full-time employees?
I was
'Cause it
thinking
went
that
from-
too. It looks like it went up by
'Cause on this one?
$2,000.
For full-time?
Yeah, because it went from $280,813 to $282,000.
Because that amount is based on what was, Gene, correct me if I'm wrong, but when you do the 2.5% increase, you just base it on last year's budget, correct? So
But-
it's on last year's figures.
But
So that
shouldn't
may
there-
not have been adjusted in there.
But wouldn't there be a whole salary eliminated from that?
Not a whole salary, because my
Or even
job
a
was
part-
combined with, I became the director that absorbed that one, so there was some carryover into that job. So a lot of it was, but not all of it.
Okay.
So you would anticipate then, even though the new budget request being 282,000 roughly, that the expended at the end of that would be substantially lower.
It would go down, yeah. And, I can get with Gene and we can refigure that as well before things are finalized,
Yeah.
if you want to, which would add some more back in there
Mhm.
as far as the deductions go. Yeah. Great.
Any other questions?
Yeah, I guess I would like to see some of those numbers, because from my vantage point, if we would approve the budget as presented here, we're telling you that maybe you can go and spend that money then, when the whole intention was to not spend that money.
Sure. And when we get these, those are already all figured for us.
Mhm.
So I don't do anything with that top half.
Okay.
Those are already done when they come
Right.
to
The
us.
salary.
Yeah.
I look at the operating
here.
budget, yeah.
Done here based upon the number of positions available, not necessarily the number of
Mm.
people actually employed at the time, but the number of open positions. So
Yeah.
if what we need to do is we need to go back and adjust that number of positions and factor that back in.
Yeah, because we have 6
Okay.
full-time employees. That's what we operate on right now.
And this number is based on 7?
Yes.
Yes.
Yep, I'd be willing to do that. So, no problem.
I wouldn't mind, Monica, for the public and for us new, to just kind of explain when they look at this, the difference between like our library and then what we're paying towards the county library. Because I do see that like just the differences between those two budgets.
So the expenditures where we have it under the county, that is because the county provides a certain amount of money so that rural residents can access our library.
Yeah, because if you go to Illinois, they don't have rural service, so they have to purchase a card if they live outside of city limits. In Iowa, any rural resident can get a card at their libraries because we have county service that supports libraries.
Okay.
And that's what that money it constitutes part of
12,000,
it.
yeah,
Yeah,
yeah.
We also
Which is, and we can see here in the documents that it's pretty standard year to year. It looks like it's about roughly
I mean,
the
sometimes we get an increase and sometimes we don't.
Right.
The same as every other budget.
Right.
We ask, we can always ask.
I would.
Monica?
Oh,
You're
sorry.
welcome.
Thanks,
guys.
Monica.
Hey, Monica,
Boys there.
can we start having the library calendar shared for the city, like on the city page as well?
It actually is easier for the other way around because the library's calendar is set up to allow other organizations to post
Oh,
on.
I meant like a picture,
Oh, yeah.
so that,
So they-
because
so,
for followers, yeah,
They
not,
work at the
Yeah.
radio station to
Yep.
get a community calendar, and
Mhm.
everybody has
Right.
it.
Mhm.
yeah, so even if
So
we
you
could
want a
just,
link on the city's webpage.
yeah,
Okay.
Absolutely. I can send one and we can post it on there.
Yeah.
Sometimes
Um,
we do it on
And you
the
should be able to
paper.
post a widget to their Facebook page to even get it on there too.
Okay, let me write that down so that I
Okay,
don't forget.
whatever you need, Cole, just let me know.
Glad you go there. Glad you go there.
Oh, widget. Okay. This is airport. Yeah. This is Mr. Ott.
With all my departments, I'm going to stand up here with these guys and I'll probably answer some of the questions just because I'm the one that makes a lot of the influences on what they do with their budgets. And I don't want them trying to explain something that I was the one that made that decision. So they're here. They'll answer anything that you want to answer, ask of them, but some of the things I'll probably answer for them. I'll probably answer some of the questions for them. So, but if you want to talk to them directly, just say that you do and they'll talk to you on any part that you want to know about.
Go ahead.
You want to go down through the expenses or you want just kind of a little bit of a puff piece about the department?
Well, you can do the puff piece about the department, but then kind of go down through the expenses.
Okay. As some of you may know, maybe some others don't, City of Keokuk took over running the airport June of 2020. Linder Aviation had been sold numerous times throughout the years, but they originally had started the airport itself. They ran it as an FBO or a fixed based operator. I started shortly after, I think June 12th of 2020, and then went full time maybe in October of 2020. Some of the things that I do want to kind of bring up, because I'm not sure if it's public knowledge, is that we are generating revenue in a fair amount out there at the airport. One of the things I wanted to talk about is in 2019, 2020, when off the fuel sales from Linder Aviation, the city of Keokuk made $6,900. 2020, first year us taking over doing it, we had budgeted to make fuel sales of $68,000. Actual total ended up being $106,000, which actually ended up being a net profit of $18,900 for the city of Keokuk. So far for this year, we budgeted up. We tried to take it to $90,000, thinking that's what we do for fuel sales. 6 months in, we're already at $93,000. So we're ahead of what our 6-month goals are. So we adjusted that on our sheets, and then we also adjusted that when it comes to 280-6503, which is the bulk fuel oil for resale. One of the other things that's a money revenue thing for us is the leases out there. We have a lease for the maintenance department, the maintenance company named Air Advantage, who leases hangars 1 and 2, which is the same hangars that Linder Aviation had when they were out there. But we also have a large community hangar that fits 4 or 5 airplanes, and then we have a bunch of individual hangars that are out there. 2019, 2020 fiscal year when Linder Aviation had it, City of Keokuk made $29,300. Last year when we took over, we had increased that to $36,000. This year we're projecting to be somewhere closer to $41,000. So I know there's kind of a I don't even know what the word I'm trying to say. I know there's a misunderstanding that people think that maybe the airport is just strictly out there by itself and then there's no money that's generated. that is my main focus of trying to increase that so that we're not hindering the budget line item, that we're actually contributing back and being part of it. If we're wanting to start on the budget worksheet itself, I can go down each single line item, but if there's something that jumps out and people want to ask me a question, I think it'd probably be easier that way.
You can review what you sent me. Just walk down.
Oh, okay. Oh, from what I sent you earlier. Okay. One of the things that popped out that's new to us this year that I caught with Gene is this is the first fiscal year that we'll have all three insurances that we need to pay for the city. We have a PMMIC, which is our underground storage insurance for our underground fuel tanks. The other one is a hangar keepers insurance. That's for if a corporate jet were to land out there at the airport and they need to be tugged up to the fuel pumps, or if there's a pilot that's out there on the field and they want me to grab their plane out of the hangar and fuel it up before they're getting ready to leave the next day at 8 a.m. So that covers our insurance on our end if I were to do something, nick the plane, hit it against something else. And then we have our property casualty insurance through Connections Bank. That one, that's $4,000, is the first year expense. So that's why on line item 280-6408, you'll see that there's a bump from what we had initially projected of 10,500, bumping that up to 12,750. The other increase that you'll see is for line item 280-6503, which is our bulk fuel and oil for resale. Initially, we had budgeted that would be $50,000. We're looking to increase that to 120. And I know it's a substantial increase, but that's a direct reflection of what we're selling for fuel. So yes, it is going out one way, but it's directly coming right back in. Again, we had $106,000 for fuel last year. We're at $93,000 in fuel sales so far this year. That's a 60.2% increase from what we had last year to where we're at for this year.
What kind of margin are we seeing on fuel sales?
Let's say that again.
What kind of profit margin is the airport seeing on the fuel sales?
On avgas, I try to keep it as low as possible. So avgas is like your typical piston airplanes or like your local guys that are flying around. I'm very conscious of who our competitors are, looking at Macomb for one, looking at Burlington as another, and looking at Quincy as being another to the south of us. Sorry. So I try to, each week I go on there and I can look to all the people that are around us within 50 nautical miles and seeing what's their fuel prices. So I try to make sure it's a bare minimum of 50 cents, but if I have room to put it in there, then I will. But the other part that we run into is the cost from, we're in January, so 12/18 to where we are today. I just got new fuel pricing on Jet A and it's gone up 62 cents. So we're smart and we're buying in bulk when the price is right, because there's a lot of fluctuation in the market between that and on the avgas. Jet fuel, which people outside of Keokuk are primarily doing that, my goal is to make money off of them.
Okay.
I think we're probably like closer to 125 a gallon.
We also, when it comes to the airport, you have a commission out there. Once you make a budget, once the city council approves a budget for the airport, then there's also a commission out there that has input and regulates where we spend the money that's been budgeted for that airport. So there's a lot of heads involved in this budget.
So really, whatever that number is for the bulk fuel and oil, that's the higher the better, because it is being turned around and sold for a profit at some point.
It's a large number, but that number is being spent out and then brought right back in also.
And we need to emphasize that one of the things that contributed to the additional fuel sales is not just being competitive on price. Because before we were not as competitive. I mean, the fuel sales were not there, but it's also because we've gone to self-service. We put in card readers, and so if a plane comes in after hours, they can fuel themselves, which most general aviation airports are going to, so that they continue the fuel sales. And that's a big draw, is that if you know, hey, I can stop here anytime and get fuel, and it's competitively priced, they'll drop in.
So then, kind of piggybacking off of what Councilman Greenwald said, that 120 is an in and out almost, like, but then you're making a profit on it, and you're thinking that if you made 18,000 profit off last year and we only had 50, but I mean, I see we got 62, but still 18, then doubling that to 120, we're thinking about 36 roughly, depending on how the prices fluctuate and all that, but a rough idea of making 36,000 off of that as a profit of those book sales.
Sorry, I don't mean to interrupt.
No, that's fine.
Knowing where I'm at on fuel sales and where we're tracking, I'd like to say that, but I don't want to put the number for it because it could, like right now, we're only at 7,000 for profit
Mhm.
through the 6 months. So it's hit or miss.
Mhm.
Depends on if they buy more avgas and less jet fuel. But I
Mhm.
mean, we're neck and neck. We're selling.
And then the other benefit of this would be the more people coming in and seeing Keokuk, hopefully the more they're eating and the more they're potentially being here. And with the new hangar, or I guess we'll get there, but when we get that part, then hopefully it brings in more. And this might be a little bit of a long game scenario for us
Yeah.
versus that short time frame.
Yeah,
Okay.
the difficulty is that we have to buy the fuel first,
Yes.
right?
Yes.
So,
Just myself. I have 2 contract workers. Marvin Peasley, who does the mowing out there for us. He's been doing it for 15 years more. Plug for Marvin. If he wasn't out there, that equipment wouldn't last as long as it has. Marvin's done an amazing job. And then Bobby McDowell, who's part of the airport commission. He's out there every single day, bright and early at 9 o'clock in the morning, getting coffee and ready to do something to help out. So it's off of volunteers. Bobby works pretty much off of volunteerism. There was a time last year when we were plowing snow 14 days in a row, and I'm like, I got to give him something. He's out there every single time we're doing it. So. One man show.
A little bit of money is spent out of the contract side of it, but it's minimal.
Yeah, if you look at 280, 6320, that's Marvin's pay. That's figured in there for him mowing. That's figured in for him doing snowplow removal. And right now that's down this year. Marvin hurt his back. He's been out for a few months. So. Oh, sorry. I guess we're on me. One of the line items we were looking at is the 280, 65, 90, just increasing that from 2,000 to 3,000. Where our community hangar is, it's got 4 or 5 airplanes in it, is also where I keep a lot of the tools for the airport. People intend well, but they go over and they grab a tool and they borrow it and don't put it back where I know where it should be. I ran in that today looking for parts for the air compressor. So we look to try to increase that, pulling $1,000 from a different line item just to buy a toolbox that I can put a lock on it so that I know everything's in there at the end of the night. And
Yeah, which line item are you
Sorry.
on?
65.99.
Yeah.
99. Got it. That's what you put under miscellaneous. That was one of my questions, was like, I'm not a really big fan of miscellaneous because so much goes
Yeah, that's a
into
weird
it.
line item.
But so can we start from the beginning? Because I was searching from.
Sorry, yeah. We had pulled it $1,000 off of line item 6499 and applied it to line item 6599. And that was to buy a toolbox so that I can lock up everything at the end of the night.
Yeah.
Because that's a community hangar. So, I mean, the pilots are coming in there after hours. Anybody can come in there because that's another access to get into the bathrooms inside the terminal. So things get misplaced. I'd like to keep them in a better location. Let's see, 6310, which is the service repair of building. I want to make sure that I'm on that. Yeah, so this is our main one that we've used for all the buildings out there, whether that's doors need fixed, whether a door needs replaced that we did last year because we had some leftover money in the budget. There's a lot of expenses that we have that are in the quote stages, because I'm trying to see where we're at for 6 months when we get into it, and then know where my budget at, and then trying to do stuff. There's also things that have been ordered that we haven't been billed yet on it. So it might only show that we've only expended $5,900. I'm sure we've already spent 12 out of that. And there's another $10,000 in things that we could do. And there's a lot of cosmetic things that we could fix out there. The big one that we just found out about is for that 280-6710 capital improvement.
Mhm.
We just got allocated $159,000 from the FAA for the bipartisan infrastructure deal. That money can be used towards runways, lightings, terminal improvements, and airport transit connections. Two of the bigger items that are out there, one of them the commission is pushing for more and things, is just trying to update our terminal. This building that we're in now used to be where we stored oil way back when Linder had it. They went in and they framed a wall, and then they added a bathroom, and then they added another bathroom, and then they added another room. Every room's a different color. Every piece of tile is a different color. Every piece of carpet's a different color. One of the ones that we see, looking off of the CIP that we have with the FAA, is our concrete ceiling out there. So going in there and sealing up the cracks, and then adding some silicone in there, because we're getting our water table so high that's starting to heave the concrete a little bit. I think it's 2026, 2027. They're actually looking to try to fund for us to redo some of the taxiways out there. So if we can go out and do a little bit of preventive maintenance and we can push that to farther on down the road, I'd be happy. Those are the ones I had as main ones. Is there another one you're wanting me to hit, Cole?
No, but if you go to you get your second page there,
I do.
right? Just that's some of the highlights they'd like to see too as well.
Okay. So then we actually got 2 grants on part of that ARRP grant. One of them was $11,000 and one of them was $32,000. The grant was very specific on what we were able to do with it. You could either update your HVAC work, you could do some COVID mitigation stuff by trying to coordinate off certain areas within your terminal, or you could put it towards operating expenses. We're not set up like Burlington. That's not our wheelhouse, but we have expenses on operations. So both of those totaling out at $43,000 this year, just been straight allocated towards operations out at the airport for guests directly towards my salary, correct?
Yeah.
Capital expenditures that are coming up, which would be line item 280-67-110. We have a runway 1432 lighting rehab project that was budgeted out at $660,000. This has already been bid on by a couple different industries. Moorfield out of Fort Madison, West Point ended up winning it. None of this was a cost to the city. This was 100% funded through an FAA grant and through an USDA grant, and that totaled out to $480,000. And what they're going to do is just pull out the outdated lights that we have and then update them to LED. It'll be a pretty big improvement. It should last a very long time. The other 2 projects that we've been working on right now is part of that hangar maintenance phase 1 that had a $60,000 budget. This was something that was already in the works before I started out there, and I believe before you had started out here at the city as well. So we had allocated the $60,000 to fix a wall that was on hangar 1. After looking at it and removing the extra weight that was up on the second floor, it was determined that that's not like a dire need right at the moment. But I think who we had borrowed the money from, we had to spend it within this year. So we broke that up into 2 different grants, or not 2 different grants, but 2 different projects. One of them was to get the equipment that we have for the snowplow. So we have 3 different snowplow pieces. We have 2 mowers. We have a urea grain trailer that we use whenever it gets too salty out or too icy out there. So we ended up building a 64 by 40 5-foot bay that's set up so where we can back those pieces of equipment in. We can get them out of the elements. We just bought that Oshkosh 2018.
Yeah.
And it's been sitting outside every single day. So it sits in the elements of the sun, which wears down the hoses, and it sits in the cold, and it just ruins them. The other one that we did is replacing the hangar door that's on hangar 1 with a bifold door. Right now, it's a 3-panel door that we have out there, and you have to pull one of them up a track, and then 2 of the doors get slidden over, and they're on a track system that's up top. I knocked it off track system probably the first day I was out there because I had no clue how it was set up. And then there's a lot to it. Slide it over, and you have to wiggle it just right on the ground. And if you don't do it, the compression bars come out, and it's cumbersome. It's the very first door that was put on that building, and it was time for it to be upgraded. Future needs for out there at the airport would definitely be looking at the concrete cracking, sealing that out there, and then looking at doing some improvements to that terminal rehab project. We have, that is the first line popped up on the CIP for the city, and then we were looking to whatever the city match was there was going to come out of line item 280 6320, or sorry, 6310. But then also now with having that 159,000 grant, that should help out a little bit. We do.
Yeah.
We get some people that live around the airport that are real conscious about letting us know. You probably know Dave Hunold that lives across the street. Dave's on the part of the DNR hunting permit that we have. We get 5 tags a year to go out and shoot any time of the year that we need to. If there's any more that we need, we just call up DNR and they give us more tags. As you know, Hunold, he's happy to go out there and shoot as many deer as he possibly can. It was the fencing project that they did. They put it through a couple washes there down through, and there's no way to get, because it's supposed to be buried down 4 foot. And there's absolutely no way to do that.
One question I have is the company that's renting the big hangar where Winter was, are they operating as an FBO?
Who's this? You talking about out of hangar 1 and 2?
Yeah.
Air Advantage, yes.
Yeah, so they do the annuals and repairs and.
Yep.
Okay. That's a big, everybody knows that's a big advantage so that our planes stay here rather than having to go somewhere else.
There's service that can be done over Macomb. If you're going to go to Lee Cobb, you got to book it 9 months ahead of time. He's busy. Mount Pleasant has service, but they're the outfit that we've subcontracted to take over hangar 1 for us. Burlington got rid of their maintenance department. Nobody wants to go to Quincy. Hannibal's too busy. So it's great that we have that out there, and that's a big thing for the guys that are wanting to rent hangars out there.
Also, it brings planes in. If they know that they can come here and get their work done, they'll bring them in.
Mm-hmm.
So, and that means they have to buy fuel.
Any questions?
We really did appreciate everything that you wrote out. I know you just read through it for the public and stuff, but we had it last week and it was great. And I appreciate the detail you put into it.
I wasn't sure you guys had it, so I was trying to not to jump. And
No,
I should have known that ahead of time. My fault.
It's great. I'm glad because when I go through and I'm writing all my questions and then I'm like checking it to this, I'm like, oh, there's the answer. Like there's this. So that I really do appreciate it. You put a lot of work in there. I think you're doing a great job. And really happy with especially that revenue side of, you're exactly right. I think some people might think that it's just sitting there. But it's nice to know that you're making revenue out there, and glad you came to the meeting and told us all about it.
Appreciate you guys having me. Thanks.
All right there. I put that, I don't know if I need it or not, so. The next one we're gonna do is roadway maintenance. For anybody that doesn't know this, Tom Beard, he's the manager for our street department and vehicle maintenance. We're gonna start off with 110, 211, 6350. Let's find it here, Tom, right here. We've asked for a increase in that line item by $2,000 from the current budget. And the reason for that is the maintenance costs have risen and the age of our equipment is getting older. So that's, between those two items, that's the reason we're asking for an increase in that budget. 211-6413. Next page. You can see we have not expended very much money out of this account, and this account is money that if we was to have a windstorm, an ice storm that would drop a bunch of trees, do damage where we had to haul debris to the landfill, that's the reason we budget that 7,000 every year. We try not to use it. We're trying to cut costs as much as we can. We found a place here in town that we can get rid of some debris and not have to pay for it. But there is times that we might have to, if we had a flood event, anything of that nature where we would have to take it to the landfill or have some other expense. That's what that 7,000 is for. We've asked to keep that in there. The next one is 211-6710. Capital. The current sweeper is nearing the end of its life cycle. It still has some value for a trade-in, and so we're asking for money to replace the street sweeper. It's $225,000.
I think the one we have right now is the best style. Yeah,
Yeah.
And they just rebuilt it like 4 years ago, all the lines and a lot of the metal inside of it and stuff, but everything gets wore out. You've probably seen it with all the dust and everything else, wears out the bushings and what we're running into now is when we go in for maintenance, it's down for quite a while. And instead of going in for an oil change and maybe hydraulic line, it might be in like one day. It's taken a week and a half just to get some of the parts for it and everything else. And the longer we're going to keep it, it's just going to keep wear and tearing even worse or more. Anywhere 8 to 10 years. And this one's 10 years. So
That was going to be my question, is how old it was.
it's 10.
Okay.
This will be starting our 11th year really right here. So I didn't write them down.
It's not a big deal, but.
We can get it if you want to.
Yeah.
These things run.
And I have it, unless you guys, I mean, y'all.
What was they giving us for trade-in on that, Tom? I didn't write that down. Do you remember?
What I will tell you is Tom mentioned that 4 years ago, we kind of had the whole thing gone through and rebuilt because at that time we thought we were going to need to get a different one, a new one. But we realized that if we had an overhaul on it, that we could stretch it out a few more years and save us on the cost and keep it running.
The machine is $255,000 without a trade-in. They're giving us $40,000 for our machine. Right.
Yeah, and then I also have some information on it where they've, like on the other deals where they've traded in other sweepers where they've tried to get rid of these used sweepers, and they've been going for anywhere from $8,000 to $45,000, $50,000. So they're not going to be getting much out of our sweepers. I don't know if you want to look at that or this. 255.
255 before the trade-in, but we're going to, 255 before the trade-in. We don't.
Yeah, and then here you go right here. Here's and the guy being a salesman probably, but he said it's gone up 4% every year. So in 2012, we paid $171 for the sweeper we have right now, and 4% each year all the way down through 222. It's $255,000.
He's asking, you're asking to keep the current one and buy the new one.
And get another one and then run two so that we'd run less hours on either one.
Getting into, and then maintenance on the other one as well.
Right.
When you buy a used machine, you're buying somebody else's.
Well, no, he's saying buy another new one and just keep ours. But we don't, the worst thing we would have, Dan, is we don't have the manpower to man two of them to do it now. We're, between, we're trying to do more street maintenance and more street work between doing that. the street sweeping, the tree trimming, pothole filling, we don't, there's 7 guys counting Tom total.
Yeah. So this guy, I have one guy in the street sweeper, one guy in the knuckle mowing right of ways. Oh, sorry.
No,
Mowing
I-
right of ways and
You're saying you're asking 225, and the new one's 255.
The trade.
We're getting a trade though, off that
40,000.
250.
Yeah, so you're asking 225. That adds up in my mind 265, and you say the new one's 255.
well, that's going to cover hopefully with tax. I mean, I don't know.
Well,
what
no,
it's-
there's no tax, but there might be a
No, what do we have?
transportation
What do we have
cost
there?
or-
Hold on.
Okay, well,
Yeah.
it just didn't add up in my little.
Right.
Hold on, let me see. Yeah, no, it doesn't.
And-
255,
and-
that's what
and
he
by the
sent us
time- And by
down.
the time we order it,
And it won't be here till the fall. They're
Yeah.
talking October, November, maybe. So, I mean, it's going to be, but as soon as we was to order it, that would set our price, lock the price in at that time. So right now, this is a budget number only is what he sent us.
Not,
it's,
There you go.
yeah.
not really.
Yeah, it really comes down to what's on the street versus the condition of the street.
Oh, it would definitely help it some. The thing that puts a lot of wear on it, and everybody wants the streets sanded and salted every time it snows. So when that sand gets put on the street, we got to go back and pick it up at some point in time. What doesn't wash down the storm sewer gets picked up through the street sweeper.
And leaves and dirt,
Yeah.
you know, like in the fall, all the leaves will be picked up still. So it's just, it's, yes, yes.
I also believe that sand you pick up has got to go to Great River. You can't just take it out and put it in a ditch, can you? Anymore?
No.
The sand you can, yeah, but not like the cigarette butts. and
Yeah, if
stuff
it has
like that.
trash
So-
and stuff in it, so a lot of it does go out to the landfill.
So a lot of like from Main Street, so that line item that Robert was talking about, the
7,000.
7,000, yeah, that'll go out there. Mainly like Main Street, South 7th, we have a lot of cigarette butts, pop cans, bottles, whatever, that'll go out to landfill.
I also think, and I know you guys have done this, but in the past, I think we sold one, I'm going to say online, but we didn't use it as a trade-in, and they got a pretty decent price out of it.
That was that last one, that air sweeper.
Yeah.
The only thing bad is we went in and rebuilt the whole inside. It was stainless steel and everything else, so we had more money in it.
I don't mean redo it. I mean, put it online for somebody to
Oh, I
buy
got you.
it.
Just, okay, yeah, we can check into it. I mean, to see if.
Right now, a lot of the places, with the same thing like the auto industry, they're looking for trade-ins. And sometimes, and I know with other equipment that we've done and looked at, we're actually getting better deals on trade-ins than what we're actually getting from private individuals, because the implements are needed in these bigger industries and they have an outlet for them. So just, your deal might be a little different, but.
Yeah. Well, like Roger was talking about, that last sweeper we had, it went to someplace in Pennsylvania. They swept like airports and stuff like that.
But going back to your question, Roger, what Tom's saying though is we put a fair amount of money into that, more than what we should have. So yes, we did get a good price out of it, but we also put a considerable amount of money into it to get that dollar amount. So, yeah, we might have got 60,000 out of it, but I don't know. I'm just speculating, but we probably spent 40,000 to get it to that point. So, did we get, a good value? I don't know, wasn't involved in it, so I really can't answer that. But
I know as long as we've had this and the use it's had, we do need a new one.
I think that we got like 37,000 out of the last one, and we put like 21,000 in right before we, plus the man hours, and everything else doing it. So.
the problem that you run into is just like the wheel loader we have right now. We're having a pretty substantial cost to repair the wheel loader. The wheel loader is, I think, about the same age, around 10 years old. We could run this thing probably another 5 or 6 years, 4 years. But when it quits, it's going to take you a year to get one, and you're not going to get anything out of the old one that you have. So you're going to take it over to the scrap yard, or you're going to sell it to a dealer for $3,000 or $4,000, and you.
I'm not saying.
No, I'm just saying that's
I'm
yeah,
saying we
no.
need a new one.
Right.
and We should get a new one.
Yes. But that's the reason for wanting to trade it now, right? We did talk about pushing it off.
And
and
pushing it off, and even keeping the old one, and having two of them go. But it's like Robert said, with manpower and then everything else, it's it's just gonna get wore out even more, and you won't get anything out of it, so.
Any other questions on that one? Absolutely.
Yeah.
Dan, we can push it off, but like I said, the problem with it is the same thing we're dealing with on a wheel loader right now. If it does go down, do we put $25,000 into it and then it only runs another year? Or do we buy a new one, but then we're going to go 9 months or 10 months without one? And so then that creates a problem with the sewers, and the leaves. So,
And the wheel loader, they was talking anywhere from 12 to 60,000, and it's been down there for almost 6 weeks now. So so if the sweeper's down for 6 weeks, that's gonna be a lot of phone calls.
the loader, we can get by. We have an old loader. We have backhoe. I mean, we can get by with that. With the street sweeper, and that's the reason for going ahead and trying to get a new one now. So we don't, it's only the only piece of equipment that can do that job that we have. It's not we can fall back on something else. So, I mean, as the council as a whole, if you guys want us to put it off a year, we'll put it off a year. But we felt after discussing it and looking everything over that this was the best decision for replacing it now. So
What kind of cost did we have on this one for last year's maintenance?
I don't really have it all broken down, just between brooms. I think there was a few lines, but nothing major, like I said, because it was just rebuilt like 4 years ago. So it's getting to that 5 to 6 year about being rebuilt again. So.
anything else on that one?
On streets or that one?
No,
line
just that
item?
one line item. I got one more.
Oh, okay, good.
Let me back here.
One thing to note that was not pointed out on the sheet of you is that the salaries and benefits and roads tax for the street maintenance increased because of shifting of salaries out of the general fund. We thought that we could possibly pay for benefits shifting salaries to all benefits out of the general fund. But our county firm said, no, that's not how we do it. So we had to shift benefits out of the general fund as well. So with the road use tax fund and street maintenance, we can now levy for those, so that have added to levy. So it's a zero sum for the benefits for the road use tax. Sanitation and sewer, however, we can't levy for those, so the additional admin costs go into those firms. Because that's what the state says we can do.
So the last line item is 211-6799. It's roadway maintenance. The 100,000 that's budgeted in the current.
Should be about 4,000, I think.
What? We didn't have that much though.
We already spent 96 of the 100,000. But we should be good with oil.
So that was for chip seal and cold patching of the streets. We done quite a bit of chip seal this year, more than we probably have in the last few years. Or about the same.
And it's asphalt and concrete. The only thing is with seal coating and stuff, each load of oil is about approximately $20,000. So we went through between heavy oil and light oil. The light oil's, it kind of bonds the material together, and you roll it in, put the sand on top. And each one is approximately $20,000. So we went through 2.5, almost 3 loads, so $60,000. And we should be good, I don't know, till maybe August with what we have right now. So, but yeah, I think it goes into the streets. So chips, the oil, cold patch, concrete, asphalt.
So when we budget $100,000, you can see we spent 96,650 of it already, and we're halfway through the year.
Yeah.
You know, so when people ask the question, you know, why are we not doing something to the streets? There's $100,000 and we've almost spent it. Well, you might be now okay, so the one I've got here. I got 20 different budgets here, so I don't have everything. January. So yes. I won't give them numbers quite like that again, but so for the new budget, we're asking for 250,000. That is 100,000 for the street repairs, and that's 150,000 for engineering. For River Road, we have a bridge that crosses Price's Creek that the surface is delaminating. This has been kind of in the works for several years before I was even into this, so I'm just now kind of understanding what we're wanting to do. But that bridge deck needs repaired, and we're going to repair the road from Athens Avenue. Yes.
It's the very first bridge on River Road, if you guys know where it's at out there. So. And it is falling apart. We did a little asphalt work and seal coated it this year, just kind of hopefully put a Band-Aid on it for a couple of years so we can get this done. So.
But the extra 150,000 is just for the engineering for that project.
How much do you think that's going to run?
Right.
The things that we have to go through, it being a bridge, some additional engineering, make sure that we have it correctly.
Yes. Like I said, this was kind of already in the works before I started, so I really wasn't involved in the research part of it or getting the budget number. But I'm going off what we had there, and we do feel that will get the engineering done. Now, in 2023 and 2024, we're going to be asking for 450,000 at least. I think that's what it's going to take to do that job. So like I said, if we don't have to spend 150,000 for engineering, we won't, but we're asking for that. Once we get the engineer involved in it, then we'll have a better grasp on what this is going to cost. No.
The 150.
Right. Well, I'll tell you, just for the Rainbow Drive lift station that we just did, I don't have all the numbers totaled on that, but I know that was at least 50,000 just to engineer that simple lift station.
Whenever I get information on what the gift flows, I don't think there's a spending deadline for these funds. I think it's allocated and presented to us. So either we can come up with projects and then amend the budget, or we can wait till backward in the next fiscal year. No. Like I said, really, you had information on airport real quick. And I thought we would get more information on water, sewer, and streets, but I haven't seen anything yet.
And Rosalind, you're talking about the engineering, any project that's $100,000 or more, the state requires that we have an engineer design it. So I understand.
Yeah.
Right. I did. I did not get any of those budget numbers on that. And the longer you let that bridge deck delaminate, the farther down the deterioration goes into the deck. And then once it starts getting into the structure part of it, into the steel reinforcement and all the other part, then you're just going to do more work. So, yeah.
It was just a half hour of, Millville. Yeah, the engineering, I put it at 25,000.
Is there any other questions for roadway maintenance?
Is there any funds out there because it is a scenic drive?
Yeah, Great River Trail. I'm not really sure if there is or not. I think that's what it's called, isn't it? Great River Trailway or something like that.
There's,
It would be part of the scenic drive, even though it's part of the city, it's still part of the scenic drive. If it's closed, then the scenic drive's closed there. So is there anything there?
We can check with.
oh, I don't know how many feet it is. Yeah.
You only have, how many feet?
No, they're far enough up that they're away from us. They're still a
There's quite a
distance
ways
there.
out there
Yeah.
where we like cloud take off. Yeah.
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 Good try though. Oh.
The next one is vehicle maintenance. Everybody have any other questions on roadway maintenance?
Yeah. These are all pretty easy. Yeah. No sticker shock in these.
No. The vehicle maintenance, the really only line item that I was going to address, unless somebody else wants to ask a question on a different one, is the 110, 212, 6499. And the increase in that budget line item is just due to the cost of employees' uniforms.
I noticed the employee uniforms kind of across a decent amount of the public works departments, like not just here, but I saw it under bridge too. I saw it in another
Every
one.
department has a uniform.
Right. So I saw an increase in that line item across several departments. I know we're not at bridge
Yes.
yet, but I was just wondering, can you be more specific in why?
And why? Well, part of it was I think that in the past that some of the uniforms were being charged out of a different account. And so we've straightened that out and got the uniforms all coming out of the right one. They're all coming, some of them before was coming out of a different line item than 6499. Every department now comes out of the 6499. You had new people just like me coming in, and so you look down through here and you say, well, which line item am I supposed to take it out of? And one guy felt that it should come out of one, another department manager felt it should come out of another one. And so I guess I can't tell you positively if that was the case on this one, but.
Is that one higher? I guess I haven't seen the other departments. They have had to have some uniforms replaced because of grease and oil and stuff like that. So
Right.
Centos, it might be because of fuel costs. So they come down every week, every Friday, and I don't know if their bill has gone up a little bit. I really don't know. Yeah, we use a cleaning like Centos.
Service. Yeah. And I think it was the same in bridge, if I'm correct. I think it was 4,500. It went up to.
So it did, but you can look back at 2 years ago, or last year, yes. Last year we budgeted 2,300 and we spent 4,461. So we should have asked for an increase last year. And it didn't get.
But 2 years ago, we only spent 1,700.
Right. And that's where I think that it might not have been coming. I really can't answer if that wasn't involved in that, but Yeah.
Right, so they're coming out of, this is where you're talking about, they were coming out of different line items and people were,
That's what
instead
I'm,
of the one line item. So
that's
now
what
it's
I'm
been
assuming that was
corrected over
going on,
last
but I
year.
was not, I can't answer that.
Right. But the assumption is now that last year we kind of got it figured out and now it's
Right.
all coming out so that we
Right.
have a better idea of how
Yes.
much that cost for that service.
Yes.
I understand. Okay. Adding up.
Any other questions on vehicle maintenance? Snow removal, 1110-250-6507. The line item that I'll talk about on that one is, or the reason for the cost savings, it looks like, is, we've had a mild winter. We haven't had to use as much salt and sand as what we have in the past, so we haven't expended that much. But we will have more salt that has to be purchased.
Yes, I just received the bill, approximately 24,000. We hauled salt last week, so we got 24,000 going out pretty quick, and then we still have about 240 ton we have to pick up by March. And the only thing is, like when we budget $60,000, last year, the price of salt per ton was $93 or $97 per ton. This year, it's only $62. So when I filled out our salt requisition for this, I put down 700 ton, thinking it was going to be, still $90, but it dropped all the way down to 67 or $62 a ton. So we're still going to save some money in that by the end of the year here. So, and next year we won't get to 700 ton, might be 500 or 400. Yeah, that's crazy. When you're filling this out though, you don't know, because I can't do it until August or September. So yeah. And this comes from Kansas, that salt mine in Kansas. So they send it by barge, then we truck it out. Yes.
Yes. So that's what I was going to say too. As we keep going here, if we have mild winters, 2 or 3 right in a row, we're going to have a surplus of it sitting there. So then we might still ask for the 60,000, but only spend 25 or 30,000 of that. So it will catch up. It's not like it's being wasted or it's not. So I don't know what you think we can get in there, Tom.
We have approximately 750 ton out there right now with room for, I bet, another 500 out there at least. So
if we don't use it, we carry it over. We could do this a couple of years and then
Yes.
maybe 1 year.
Yes.
Not have to.
Yes.
Yeah. And that's going to happen this year because it's not going to snow anymore. I put the good word in, so for no more snow. So.
Oh, is that how it works? I didn't know.
Big snow, that's 2 foot or whatever, 22.
Yeah, like 10 years ago.
The next year or whatever it was after that, I think we have 1 snow.
I know, it's crazy.
So we just don't know, but
Yeah.
that's why I was wondering how big of an area can we stockpile and carry over?
This holds quite a bit. They say 1,200 ton, but I'm going to say right about 900 or so, And like I said, we can't get our salt contract until September or so, and then you budget it. So I'm putting $60,000 down, but I don't know how much it is going to be per ton until August, September. So
Get it?
you shouldn't have done it. You should have waited after tonight. So. That's probably the.
I don't know for sure if we can take it out of that budget. No, that would come out of.
Yes, then we could look at, we couldn't spend it from there, but we could say, okay, we saved $40,000 on supplies and snow removal. We could move that up to our sign, some of it are all up to the sign line. So because it's all out of that fund, yes, it can be done.
Yep. So the last one for Tom here is the street cleaning.
think it's the same ones that payments to other agencies
Yeah,
or something.
this is all just for landfill cost. Like I said, Roger was asking earlier, I think it was asking about whether you can dump that someplace or does it all have to go to the landfill? We do dump it. If it doesn't have trash in it, then we have been using it for fill, but if it has trash in it, then we load it up and it has to go to Great River Regional. So,
Is there a place out at the old landfill? Out there, cemetery? Is there a place you can make an elevated street? I don't want to make it time consuming. I don't want it to be another guy that has to do it. But the slopes one where the sand can be run through it, I know the flooding is a different deal. Where we can just basically trash it all.
well, and that's kind of what we've been doing with it now. You know, I mean, we just take the bucket, back drag it, see what's there. If, if it doesn't have much debris in it, if it looks clean, then we scoop that up, put that back in the truck, and at some point get rid of it.
Some concern that it's kind of a fine line when you start getting a bunch of fuel into the sand.
Right.
I know the DNR and all of them are very big on. I said at one time, it'd be too bad we can't scoop it up in the winter time and sweep it up, put it back in sandbags for the spring and summer, so we fight the flood.
Right. Yeah. Any other questions for Tom?
So for 6413 that we were just talking about, payments to other agencies,
That's pretty much
It's-
a transfer station.
Yeah, it's all,
it's gone down because of landfill savings,
yes,
is what you're saying, or we're saving
Yes.
by using that? Okay. Could you, and maybe I missed it and we talked about it already. I know that when we do this chip seal or the double chip seal that we've been kind of talking throughout the year of how doing these things in-house is saving us money. Are we seeing that savings yet, or is it a long-term kind of savings?
I'm not sure what you're asking.
Well, we did last year, like I said, approximately 3 miles of seal coating.
Mhm.
And let's see, it's about 350 gallons per block, depending on the width of the street. About 350 gallons. So, let's see, 5,000 gallons per load. I don't know, math's kind of off right now, but so, yeah, 12, 14 blocks, whatever it is, and stuff. But that's all just done in-house with the oil and the chips and everything else. So I don't know what somebody else would cost, to do it, say, across the river or whatever, so.
I do have numbers in there. I don't have them with me right now, but I've got numbers for another project that, and it's substantially higher. So I guess, yes, we are seeing a savings. We have not, since 2019, we've not hired a contractor other than to come in and do the milling of the street. Everything else has been done in-house.
Okay.
The amount that we've spent includes the milling of those streets.
Yes.
Okay, so for the new council members up here, when we were doing the Windsor Heights lift station, the original plans were to put in a 2-inch asphalt lift, but there was no money in there for redoing the base. And so when Robert came in, he looked at it, he says, we put that down on that base, it's not going to last. So he found a company that would come in and basically they come in and they mill it and scarify, but they leave it all in place. So it's kind of like they just come in and chop it all up, and then they roll it, and then they'll fill in. We come in and we fill in some low spots, and then they roll it and compact it down. Then we come through and do a double seal on it.
Mhm.
And in the places where that's done, it's been extremely economical, and you get a really nice road out of it. Is it Durant? Decatur. I'd walk that every morning, and that road was like this.
Mhm.
And for the I think it was, how much did we
I
spend on
think
it?
total-
$4,000 for the mill.
Yeah.
Yeah,
And then-
$4,000 for the mill, and then what we did on chip and seal, improved that road 100%.
And that's not all the way done, though. We're going to see another
One
session
more
or
layer.
phase in the summer, this coming summer for Decatur in particular for that double chip seal.
It'll get chip sealed again.
Yeah,
Right.
one more time. It was just light oil and sand once, and we swept up the sand, and we seal coated it
Yep.
after that. So now this will be the double seal coat this year.
Okay.
Windsor Heights, Decatur, Wally Lane,
Or whatever.
Crestview.
Crestview, Windsor. The only thing bad about doing that with a lot of traffic, it might not hold up as well as it does on like Windsor or Waldy or some of these other streets, not quite as much traffic. I'm not saying it won't last for 4, 5,
Decatur
6
gets a
years.
lot of traffic,
That's what we're talking.
Yeah.
ton of
but-
traffic,
Yeah.
and buses.
Yeah.
And
And that was state of
fabric
the
was
art.
sold to us as a fabulous thing. In my 30-plus years of being in this, you can shove the fabric because it just makes things down the road worse. We've seen it on 10th Street. The top layer peels off of it. We see it on 18th Street. The cost on 18th Street is going to be more extensive than what we can do there because of the fact that the fabric's in it.
Mhm.
So,
This is a fix for some streets, but it's not a fix
Not
for all
right.
of them. And it's, you can drive down Decatur. It's not perfect, but it's a
Mm-hmm.
Yeah.
long
The
ways from
county-
where it was at.
the county basically does the same thing. If they have an asphalt one, they do the same thing. If it's gravel, they basically do the same thing with gravel, then chip seal it 3 times, 2 times the first year, and then they end up having hard surfaces road. So this isn't just something that Keokuk's, we're just now doing it, but this is something that they do all over the place.
Mm-hmm.
And you are kind of limited on, there's not a whole lot of contractors around that do it.
We did it at the Kramer Lane last year, 2 years ago, too,
Yeah.
wasn't it? Yeah.
Yeah.
And then
So-
trying to get them on time schedule.
Right.
And then so we can give us time to do it as well.
And some roads don't have a very deep rock base. It has to have at least, they told me 8 inches. We done Decatur with 6 inches. But what we end up doing is Decatur had some low spots in us. We come in and spread rock over the top of that. That gave us a little bit more base, and then they mixed that all together. So, all the time, we're looking at what we can do with 18th Street. I promise you that. And I've had 2 contractors come look at 18th Street, and both of them have told me they don't think that we can do that to it. Just. And 18th Street really needs some taken off. It needs some milled off the top of it, because when they done the last overlay, it's really too high.
And the fabric John was talking about, it was kind of like I said, state of the art. It wasn't supposed to let the moisture come up through the ground. But there's some spots where the asphalt's 2 inches thick, and there's some spots like where it's 1 inch thick. Then you can pick up on the fabric and move 3 foot of street. It's fabric. It's kind of like a roofing tar paper or something. So, yeah.
And in my opinion, the fabric wasn't put down properly to begin with, because the fabric should be bonded to the
bottom
original surface, and it should be bonded to the new surface, and you can go over and grab the fabric and pull it up. No, and it's that way all over town. So,
Yeah, I think South 10th, same way. South 19th, there's might be a ½ inch of asphalt. I don't even know.
Any other questions for Tom?
Get out of here.
Can we take a real short break?
Thank
Get
you.
a drink real quick and go back to the next of them?
Everybody want to take 5?
Yeah, let's do it.
Yep.
Take 5. So, hey.
You finally wake up there. You wake. Dan, I've been talking to a rep, and he's fighting in Des Moines for some of this basically stimulus money and stuff. And he's trying to go through the historical side of things too, because it is our national cemetery and stuff out there. And I've gotten some numbers from Robert. I've gotten some numbers worked up through other contractors. We've thrown it to him. He's working and pushing to get a significant amount of what that'll cost to have done from state. It takes time with everything that's going on. Fingers crossed. I mean, even if we had to pay half, that's bad, but
Old
it's
days.
only half, you know what I'm saying? So he's been working on, huh?
school.
Right, right,
Oh, Ben,
I just packed it to you. I didn't buy it.
you know what? You're right.
right. So we do have people higher on up in the government that is working on trying to get some funding from the big government and from state and from historical and all that to try to help us out with 18th Street. And then you also get into when you go in, if you do so much of it, you end up with what is it, the ADA, is that what it's called? American Disability Act.
They're making that new store. Is it coming up there?
The sidewalks. Every intersection sidewalk.
How's it feel?
What? Honestly, I never missed anything because I just sat on that
Yeah,
side.
that's true.
I mean, like,
That's true.
I didn't miss a single meeting.
Well, now you know, but now you get to be like, yes
I
or
can
no,
talk again.
yes or
I
no.
can talk again.
Snowball event.
Yeah.
No, they weren't. No. There were a handful of times though where I'm like, right.
And I don't agree with all of their standards on that.
Oh, yeah. Oh,
I've seen a lot of the intersections like you'll see on Main Street where it's wide as a full 90-degree radius, you know, ADA, I like that. We've got a couple of them. One of them's over here by my house where you have a sidewalk here and then it comes up into a full curve for 1 foot or 6 inches, and then back to it again. You talk about a trip hazard for somebody that can see.
Which is why I wanted to make sure that.
Why would you put that little nubbin in there?
Like the question you asked about, are we saving money?
No, so
We're not seeing it on the budget because we're doing.
Which is right, which is great, but I just want to be able to have the public to be
Yep.
able to hear it.
Right.
And
Right.
And say like, here, or where's the next money coming from for the next box? Yours says 100,000.
yes. Yeah, like
Well,
Robert
and this
said,
budget,
the fabric probably would have been better had it been installed correctly. But
and this one was really important, streets, because, you know, that's, we all take calls on this much.
Well, in Decatur, I mean, that was when we started having conversations about that one before I was.
and I found
I mean, it took that long to finally get it
Well,
to
and those
where it was on the
buses.
priority.
a lot of them,
With the school
Yes.
traffic.
a lot of them like
School traffic
fabric.
alone.
A lot of them are putting, they'll sell you on the fabric. They'll lay it down, they'll put in the road base and all this and that. They're running anything heavy across it, and all you do is pump the fabric right up out of the rock. Then you can't grade it.
I'll be on infrastructure, which I don't have streets. I'll have more street talk.
Unless it's under landscaping. No, it works beautifully under landscaping. Yeah. It's that last foot off.
It didn't fix
I don't
it.
like that. I will say that I would like to see some more residential, like
I don't like it.
streets touched up.
What is this? Mark, a little
Meadow,
bit.
you used to live on Meadows, and it is
Do with-
atrocious.
There's that, the
Probably-
C-Bus.
Probably has
If you look, it
Oh.
only goes up 2 driveways because the C-Bus constantly visits the same driveway
Yes.
4 times a day.
Look. we
And
can-
it's all torn up from where it pulls in and then as far as it backs and then it goes straight. And you can see like a straight line, almost. And that's as far as the bus goes, yeah.
And the water will run this.
Well, you would think it would tear up my road a lot more, Logan.
Never gets.
But it doesn't. 'Cause
And I guess
of
that
big tree.
all those neighborhoods there, that was all swamp at one point. So everything's just.
It's, no, it's,
The streets are so flat. Today, when they used to have a nice little crown. to them,
the layer's bad.
I don't care if the street's fairly flat, there's no crown there, but the last bit, when you used to have 18-inch pan, that was sitting at 18 inches. Well, now, it stays out 3 feet.
Coming up.
Now you have ice.
Yeah.
Eating up your concrete.
I would like to see South 18th though.
You may work
Really
your way
bad.
in Arkansas.
Like that's a big, that's not.
They were the
I mean,
crap
It is
up there in the
residential, but
north.
it's not like what I'm talking about. That's like, big, yeah, we're talking tourism and stuff like that. Like I'd love to see.
There's several places I could.
But I still want to see, like, I would really love it if we had something set up where like every ward had a residential street done, like what we're talking about.
one that's maybe not a high
Three intakes, that water misses.
but still,
You know, missed them 3 intakes from
Or pick up street.
oh man, it's a bummer.
One of the things was they done 16th Street.
Yeah, north or south? North 16. Yeah, yeah.
But that wasn't on the list, but it was one.
For the ambulance to come in. Well, I've had a constituent call the intersection of, it has to be like Morgan and 16th or Morgan and 17th. It's right near the dentist's office. But like when you come over off of 17th, there's like right by the park, there, right there is just deteriorating in that particular.
That whole stretch where the ballpark is.
That whole street, is that Morgan? What is that?
Morgan is the one the hospital's on. So I think it's high. There's something else and then there's.
Well, that, see, there's,
I thought it was Morgan, Fulton, Franklin, Orleans.
Because Morgan's what the hospital address is.
So I think it is on Morgan, because I think there's supposed to be a street that, like, it cuts into that parking lot. Yeah, look it up. I think it cuts into that parking lot, and it makes you think it connects, because it does onto the other side, but it's
Because
weird.
it's not like it's
a
straight.
parking lot. Yeah, 'cause you have to go by the big tooth. Fulton, Franklin, Orleans. Yeah, going north. I think it's Morgan, yeah. But that one in particular spot by the, not Tolme, that's all I can think of right now.
Tomulti?
What is it?
Tomulti?
Yeah, Tolme.
They're like the same, but there's a
Totally. I've been saying it wrong for a long time now. But, yeah, I think
that street right on 17th Street there.
yeah, is Morgan all the way through.
yeah, you just don't think it because it's a parking lot. That intersection is bad. And it's just, I mean, it might be that whole street right there by the park, you're right, it might be, but 17th Street isn't awful, I drive that almost every day.
15th Street.
Are you gonna go to,
Do you want to do him next instead of the sewer to get, so he can be done, or do you want to do, however you want to do it? Does it matter?
okay, cool.
I'll still get
You'll get some info, okay. No!
at them scheduled for February 1st.
Okay. I'll be there.
Gotta go up to Wisconsin.
We ready to go again?
You only retire once.
You do?
And it's my fault he's retiring, so I figured I should.
You want to do the
show up.
sewer?
Why is it your fault?
Because I conned him in the middle down here.
Oh, is he moving?
Let's go, guys.
All right, we're going to do the sewer department. Michael's not able to be here with us tonight, so I'm going to do all of it. I don't think we'll have any issues here, but if you have any questions, I'll answer them the best I can. Line item 610-817-6331. We've expended probably 2/3 of that line item this year already. Part of that is contributed to the cost, and fuel has risen a little bit, and the sewer department has done a lot of maintenance work, and that's jetting the mains. We've cleaned ditches down along Twin Rivers Drive. It's just, we've used more fuel and done more work than what we have in the past. And the cost of the fuel increasing a little bit between the two of them has contributed to what we've spent. We did not ask for an increase. I think that we're going to be okay, but that was one line item that we'd spent a fair amount of that budget already, and I just wanted to explain that one. 817-6371. We have substantially dropped what we've spent in the last several years. I can't pinpoint every single thing that has contributed to that, but we have reduced power usage on one building that we didn't feel that we needed to have. It was the old warehouse, the Farrell Sill warehouse. The sewer department uses that for a storage building. We've cut costs on that. The lift stations that we've replaced are more efficient than what the ones are in the past. That all reflects into this. Yes.
Yeah, 6371, electricity.
Yeah.
Yeah. Yep.
Every lift station in the city, the sewer department's maintenance shop, the Farrell Sill building down there because it's used by the sewer department. That's paid for out of that. And that should be it. The next one is 6380. This line item, let me get my numbers back here. This line item, we've spent more than what we budgeted in that account. Part of that was due to, we put a storm shelter in. We actually put two of them in. We put one at the airport, which is not taken out of this line item, but we put one at the airport and we put one at the sewer department. And the reason for the storm shelter is they had no place to go other than this metal building that they're in out there if we was to have a windstorm or a tornado or anything come through. So we purchased storm shelters and the city installed them. We didn't hire anybody to do it. We received a $1,000 safety grant from ICAP. Is that correct, Gene? Yeah. That was put back into the general fund. That is not reflected in this either. But that is the biggest cost share for the increase in that line item.
So you're saying, I'm sorry. So you're saying that the 8,957 over budget of the 6,000 for this current year is because we put in a storm shelter, but we are not seeing reflected the $1,000
Yes.
savings from the ICAT grant.
Yes.
Okay.
That
So it really
1,000
should be
that-
$1,000 less
Yes.
instead of almost $3,000 over.
Yes.
Well,
But it still puts us,
we put one in out the airport too. So the $1,000 wasn't just for sewer.
Yeah.
Right.
It was
It was
for the whole
$1,000 for
thing.
both.
so it's only a 500.
Yeah.
We overspent on that line item, but we've made adjustments on other line items. Overall in the budget, we're going to be okay. This is something that we felt safety-wise needed to be put in. Not only does it serve the sewer department, but animal services can also use it. We looked at the city and we've been developing a safety plan for the city, and this fell into that. So if somebody's out getting fuel or somebody's working on it in town, mowing, whatever it is that they're doing, and a storm comes up, we've identified different parts of town that there's someplace safe for them to go. You know, here, this building here is one place that they can go to. Police and fire is another building that has a good basement, a good building that they can go into. And then sanitation, sewer department. So if sanitation was out at the landfill, transfer station, they have some place to go. And then the airport was really, really in need of it because they had no place to go.
Right.
When first become the public works director, we was having a meeting out there and a pretty bad storm came up, and when Greg was still there, I asked Greg, I said, what is your plan for out here? And he said, you either hope the neighbor's home that you can get in his basement, or you go out and lay down in the ditch. That's our plan.
And I should correct myself too. Even though we're talking about being over budget for that in particular line item, overall, Robert, when I've looked through your department's budgets, I have seen the spending. I have some of them like on my personal thing where I'm seeing where you're cutting things and stuff like that. And I do really appreciate seeing you try to stretch that penny and keep us as close as on budget at the end as possible.
Yeah.
And if some of your departments, some of them under, I think bridge is coming up soon. So, but yeah, I've been very appreciative of that too.
Thank you. They're a concrete, basically a concrete vault. It's got a tapered front with a metal door in the front of it. It's buried halfway in the ground and half of it's out of the ground. It's got a vent on top of it. I mean, I think it'll hold 12. It says it'll hold 12 men, and I'm sure that we could get 12 grown adults in there easily. Well, I don't know if there's any snacks or anything in there, Dan, but
Why the other one didn't come out of the airport's budget?
the other one did come out of the airport's
Okay,
budget.
The other one did, yeah.
We just didn't talk about it because they didn't put that line item over. So the reason I'm discussing this line item here is just because we overspent on that line item, and I wanted to explain why we had went over so much, so. No, the airport paid $3,695, the same as sewer did. So yes. And then as Gene explained, or Cole there, we got $1,000 of that back that went back in the general fund. So you could just say it took $500 off each one of them.
Mm-hmm.
And that was the only expense that we had to, like I said, city employees put it in. And so we didn't incur any cost there. The next one is 817. Where am I at? I lost my line here. 6390. 6490, yeah.
Mm-hmm.
This line item here, we'd only budgeted $8,000, but we've had professional fees, some consulting fees, and attorney fees for the CSO, for the combined sewer outfall project that has been taken out of that line item. So that is the reason for the expenditure in there. That was unplanned, not something that we'd counted on. And so when you go back, the question's been asked so many times in the last 12 months, where did the money go? Sometimes that's where the money goes.
The next line down, Robert,
Yes.
it's way under the current budget. Is there still stuff that has to come out of there?
No, that's the kind of the contingency line item.
Okay.
So that if there has to be a sewer repair.
That
Just
came
like little
about,
nest
John,
egg.
remember when we had the sewer blow up underneath the house over here, and we were scrambling to try to find where we was going to pay for it? Right. So last year we did tap into a little bit of that to pay for the electrical upgrade for Windsor Heights. That was not planned. We put 3-phase electrical into that one. And so that's where we paid for it out of that account. But our intent every year is to leave that money. We know we asked for it, but we don't intend to spend that unless there's an emergency or something. Right. We could spend $200,000. Yeah.
And
How did you come?
this line item has been reduced though from what it has been in the budget in the past, because this is those reductions are to offset the increase in salary and benefits from taking the salaries out of the general fund and placing it into this department.
Yeah, our new budget's going to be 450,000 next year. Is that correct?
Correct.
Yes. So we just talked, it's going to be less. Yes, we're actually going
Right.
to.
So in previous years, we budgeted 535,000. No. You've got an old copy of the budget. I've adjusted that down. What it's going to do is we're dropping that to 450,000 next year.
The current budget is 535,500. The new budget is going to be 450,000.
490. Okay, so the reason why it says 490 is because, and again, he's got an older version of the budget, is because we did the budget amendment and we adjusted for the shift for this year. And that's where that money came from. So we adjusted that down from 535 to 490
Okay.
to cover the shift in salaries and benefits for this current fiscal year. In the next fiscal year, we shifted it farther down to 450,000 in order to, because of the additional benefits costs that we didn't think we were going to have in this department. Is going to be 450 for next year. Yes. Yes. No, it's not correct. It's 450. And when we passed this out, that was the most current and updated version. But as I told you last Thursday, is that it was hot, literally hot off the presses. We had just finished putting everything in. So over the weekend, I sat down, went through, checked everything, see if there was any omissions, see if there was anything that needed to be changed. And some of these things were, okay, hey, we forgot to do this and forgot to do that. And so once we're done with tonight, what I will do is I will rerun it. It just won't be in order. I'll rerun the entire budget for you for next time, so you can have an updated budget at the next meeting. Because then after the next meeting, that's when, if there's any changes that you have or anything that you notice, we'll have another we'll before a regular council meeting, we'll have a work session where we'll review the budget again. And then at that time, we'll also have the summaries, and we'll have projected beginning and ending balances and other things as that.
Cole, correct me if I'm wrong. So over the weekend, you worked on this and made some, because like you said, it was hot off the press. You told us on Thursday when you set it down for us that, hey, I'm noticing some things right off the bat, like it's going to be corrected. So you corrected things some over the weekend. Is there any way that when Amy sent it out to us, we didn't get an
No, you
updated
didn't
copy?
get- no,
Could
you
we
didn't.
get that when you do make corrections, even though if it's like draft 2 and as we know, it's going to be draft 3, draft, you know what I mean, as it goes?
I would love to do that, but what I'm going to tell you is I sat down today and something else came in, and I created literally my 10th draft.
Right.
Oh,
In his defense, I changed 3 of them at 4:00 this afternoon.
Right. Okay.
so that's why once we have the next session, everything should be pretty much set in place, and that's why I think that's when I can give you a
Right.
more set copy.
Right.
The hard part about this one is,
Literally, if every time I had to make a change, I was sending you out a new copy, you'd have 15 emails right now.
Right. I just didn't know if there was like a way that, like, if you've made over a certain amount of changes that you could, you know what I mean? But I get it. If it's a lot of work, I know, and it
your
takes a
other
lot of
budgets
work.
probably won't be as bad as mine are, just because there is so many of them. Well, I mean, and I'm going to tell you, for 3.5 weeks, we've changed it and cut and looked at other options, and
Yeah.
so, and, I apologize. Like I said, I changed 3 of them this afternoon at 4:00. And it was all reductions. So the one was a $10,000 increase, and the other one was.
Yeah. You can make changes as long as they're reductions. They did.
1.
Oh, I thought he said 3 were. Oh, dang.
6723 is the next one. Capital equipment, sewer maintenance.
67.
We've asked for a new budget of 455,000. No, it's on the 3rd page. 612,815. Got it? Okay.
What?
Page you on, Robert?
It's essentially the 4th page.
Oh, it's on the next one that says page 1.
Yeah. So you
On
keep
the
going.
next
It's
set that says page 1 that you don't, you,
it's a new page 1 after page 3.
yeah.
Well, I mean, I think I do. Yeah, I got it.
And the reason for that is because that's coming out of a capital fund in the sewer department?
We're asking for 450,000. That is to replace a 2008 Vector truck. It's one of the two main trucks that we use. It's a larger one of the two Vectors that we have. Being a 2008, the maintenance cost on it have not been real significant, but it is getting to that point where we do feel that it's going to start having maintenance issues. It still has some value. I believe that they offered us 50. Oh, I should add. Next year, I promise I'm getting better at this, but I don't have everything in front of me. 455,000. 450 of it is for the new truck. 5,000 is for jetter nozzles. I do not remember exactly what the, I thought I had it here with me, but I don't remember what they're giving us for trade-in on the old truck that we have. But the difference comes out to 450,000. If Michael was here, he would know, but I don't remember. This piece of equipment is one of the main pieces of equipment that the sewer department uses almost daily. That was part of the reason for buying the building down here at 212 Des Moines. The Parks and Bridge took part of that building, and then the other accessory building that was down there, we purchased along with that property, was for putting this truck in so that it could be used year round instead of 6 months or 7 months out of the year. So it is a main piece of equipment that we rely on quite a bit.
How many vacuum trucks do we have? Two?
We have two. We have two vacuum trucks. This is the largest of the two. The other one is a smaller one. This one here is the one we use to do most of the vacuuming. The other one is what we use to do most of the jetting. Of course, this one here does both. We do both with it, but we do very little vacuuming with the smaller truck. This is the one that gets the most use on that. But then we also have the pumper truck that we bought for the leachate that we use it also.
That's two, excuse me, that's two total for the city.
That's two total for the city.
Okay.
Yes.
And we do a regular jetting schedule?
Yes.
Okay, so understand that by doing the regular maintenance, that reduces our liability for backups.
Yes.
So that if a backup does occur, because we do the regular maintenance, unless it's something that we've done, and is negligent, then we are not responsible. Now, that being said, there are places out there that, and Robert can tell you that there's certain things that end up in the sewer that shouldn't be there.
Yeah.
And those can cause clogs and cause backups. But because we do our regular maintenance, it reduces the liability. And that's a state law that allows us, so long as we do the regular maintenance. If we did not do the regular maintenance, anytime there was a backup, we'd be responsible.
And our other vacuum truck, what is the year of it?
It's a 2017, I believe.
17. What kind of maintenance costs has it cost us on this truck for the last? We don't use it that much, but you have much of a maintenance cost?
Maintenance cost on this one that we're wanting to replace is 2008. Roger, it's hard. I mean, I could go back. I'm not saying that we can't get it, but it's hard we don't keep track of each individual truck. We just have a line item in here, for maintenance of equipment at the sewer department. So I don't know what the dollar amount on this truck. We have not spent a significant amount of money on this truck.
Because it is a backup.
No, no, both those two jetter trucks are operated almost daily. It's not a backup. It's just the one is used primarily for jetting. The one is used primarily for vacuuming. They're both capable of doing both jobs. Just this is a larger capacity truck, and so it holds more debris when we're vacuuming, and so we don't have to go dump near as often. And the other truck, by keeping the debris tank on it clean, we're able to put water into that truck. So we have a large amount of water to do the jetting. We have a large truck to do the vacuums. They go both hand in hand. When you're jetting those lines, you're also vacuuming that stuff up out of there, so we're not sending it on down to the waste treatment plant. So it is used. I mean, today it didn't go out because of the temperature, but Thursday, if it hits 42 degrees, I promise that one of those two, if not both of them, will be out doing some work somewhere. We've got a substantial list of areas that we've identified that need cleaned every 6 months. Then we have another list that has yearly that need done. We keep track of that. The DNR, to stay in compliance with the DNR, they want to come in every so often. They want to see our records, and we can show that we're doing that on a regular basis. It helps us with the storm sewer, the CSO separation that we've been working on. It helps to show that we are doing everything that we can do to not have overflows.
And you say it's a two-way, and your maintenance is.
Our maintenance hasn't really been too bad. It's needing some repairs. The boom on the front of it is starting to leak fairly bad. The pump, like I said, if Michael was here, he would probably be able to tell you more for what the hours and stuff's on it. But we had it checked out last year by a mechanic that's knowledgeable on it, because I wanted to see what we needed to fix on it. You know, what was some of the issues that we was going to be having with it, and he pointed out some things that didn't need fixed right now, so we didn't fix them, anticipating that we was going to be trading it off. So if we don't trade it, we are going to spend some money on it. How much, I don't have an exact dollar figure on that. No. It's a 2008. Yes. Yeah. It kind of goes back to the same thing I was talking about on the street sweeper. I know some people are going to look at it and not really agree with that, but if this truck goes down, if we order it now, we're probably looking at the end of the year before we get it.
What did you, and the price was again what?
With trading our truck in, it's going to be $450,000. And we're asking for $455,000, $5,000 as we budgeted for nozzles for every year. We had 3 years ago when we budgeted for the CIP to see where this truck was at. This truck was $430,000 then. It's increased $20,000 in the last 2.5 years.
If we hung on to the 2008 truck and something happened, did break down, we had to fix it, we can still use the other truck as a backup? I know we use it for jetting, but we could use it if we had to.
We could use it if we had to, yes.
Okay.
Yes.
Depending on what went wrong with it, we had to order one then, 10 months out, getting a new one then,
Yeah.
so you're running a smaller truck.
Yeah.
It's half a dozen one hand and six the other. It's, where's the line between we can still get a good trade-in value for it versus the maintenance cost?
Okay.
On the PowerPoint, it says that uniforms come out of that 6490.
6490, they do not. All the uniforms come out of 6499. I know it.
Right, okay,
Did I-
so 6490 is where they took where the uniforms used to be and went down to 6499. What I didn't do is get 6499 on the PowerPoint.
I did put a 6499 on, and then, like I said, that it's just worded wrong. It's just has not been updated. No, I guess I'm not sure what you're asking, Roz.
It's on our screens is what it is, the 610, 817, 6490, but that doesn't match what's a line item on the budget. It's a typo.
6490, uniforms are not coming out of 6490. Uniforms are coming out of 6499.
No, what it is, yeah, okay.
Hmm?
Okay, so 6490, right? 6490 where it says other professional services, that's where the uniform allowances used to come out of, but it's now now they're shifting that down to 6499. No. No, it's other contractual services. I have it, what it is I was going off of this here and I had it mislabeled on the PowerPoint. Yeah, so that is including, 6499 is including. That's because it's not just for uniforms. Yeah.
Yeah, just the title.
Right.
I get what you're saying.
It's
the title of
confusing the way
line
that it
item.
is right now.
The 450 includes the raises in it, okay.
Yeah.
So the last line item,
6767, which would be on another page.
where am I at with it?
Lift station,
And that's the lift station. So it's a
capital improvement.
yeah, it's
It's
a
on the-
capital page. Keep going.
Oh.
Yeah, I didn't go back far enough.
And it's the next page. 490. Where's, yeah, there it is.
All 3 or 4 pages.
Yeah. And again, this is because the capital in sewer and water pollution control actually comes out of, doesn't come out of their operational line item budget. It's put in separately into a capital account. So when we ran the budget, we ran it by department, and this becomes up as a separate, this capital area comes up as a separate department.
So the Rainbow Lift Station has been delayed because of the delay in getting the parts for the lift station. We had originally planned to pay for it out of this current fiscal year. It will not be paid for until next fiscal year. So we've adjusted the current budget to cover just the engineering, which will be paid for out of this year. And the cost for the Rainbow Lift Station will come out of next year's the new budget for 2022, 2023. No. Yes. The cost will still be the same. Nothing's changed on the cost. It's just what budget year we're going to take it out of is the only thing that's changed. Yeah, nothing other than that is different. I think they're waiting on weather. The last time I'd talked to them, which was probably 2 or 3 weeks ago, they're waiting on the weather. They are going to go in and start clearing some trees and doing some work that.
We're getting ready to bid one and looking at pumps and controls and stuff. Generators are 12+ months out.
Yeah.
Pumps, 8 to 9 months out. Controls anywhere from 8 to 12 months out to get the controls to run the pump.
Yeah.
Yeah, I know that's.
We've extended the deadline.
Well, lock that price in it is great
Yeah.
if we're having to wait on stuff.
Yeah, we're locked in, and like I said, nothing's changed on that part of it. We've extended the completion date, I believe, on this till October 1st, I think is what
That's
it was.
real common right now, having extended dates.
You ready?
Wake up.
Which one are we doing first? Parks, right?
Parks.
On this budget here, one of the city's employees does plan on retiring in December of 2022. He has not for sure announced that that's when it'll be, but that's the tentative date that we're planning on. So this budget reflects a retirement. The first line item in this one that we'll talk about is 001-430-6320. This was one of the ones that it's going to be different on you guys' sheet probably than what myself and Cole has, because this is one that got changed at 4 o'clock this afternoon. We have increased the current budget to 80,000. And this is because the splash pad, we had originally thought that the construction of it would not start till late spring, which would put the work that the city needs to do for the splash pad to be installed into the next fiscal year. I was just notified today that they plan on starting it the 1st of March. So we are going to need to start spending money to upgrade the electrical, to get electric over to the splash pad, and to put some drains in, do some other work that's not covered under the fundraising and the work that they're doing. Now, this also goes back to the last public works director had put some of these budget numbers together. I'm still trying to learn what the city's involvement is and what their involvement is, and we're going in the right direction. I've been working with the contractor, been working with the organization that's fundraising for this. We've put in 80,000 for this year, and we've put in 52,500 for the new budget. I want everybody to be clear. I do not know what the cost is going to be to do this. And if we do not need the $80,000, we will not spend it. We will not just go spend the money just because it's in the budget. But I do want to ask for it. So once this project starts, we have the funds to get it installed, hooked up, and everything we need to. The biggest cost that we're going to have with this project is electrical upgrade at the Tomey building to accommodate the power for the splash pad. So
I don't know if you have gotten with and find out what all the responsibilities are of the city, of them, or whatever. Longevity of this, winterizing this thing every year, maintenance 4 years down the road when things start freezing and breaking. Does this all come back on the city, or?
City pays 100% of it. Once this organization pays to install it, then it becomes our responsibility to maintain and upkeep.
Winterizing it and everything.
Everything.
Fabulous.
I have, it's a local contractor that's doing the work on it, and I've spoke with them several times, spoke with them just today, stating that when the construction of this starts, we want to be heavily involved in it so that we're making sure that the way it is constructed, the way that the components are put into it is something that we can work on. We'd already discussed in a meeting that we had several months ago, there was a pit that had to have winterization done into it, and the only way to do it is to have a guy lay over the side of it and somebody else hold his feet. There's no ladder. There was no way to get down in it. You had to do it from the top. And we said, no. It is.
Well, what you normally get is you get a 1-year warranty.
Right. Right.
Right. Well, what it is once we're going to pick a time to winterize it, and we're going to pick a time to energize it. And hopefully it doesn't freeze in May, right? Or June.
Right. Right.
Right.
Right. it goes back to all the play equipment that's been donated out there. These people have worked tirelessly to get the money and but once it's put in, it becomes the city's responsibility, and that reflects in our budgets. And, Linda was stating earlier, we've done a good job of keeping the money down, and we have. But I'm going to tell you, we can't do this every year because we get added cost every year, but I'm asking, like I said, for the $80,000 this year, and I'm not going to stand here and tell you that we're not going to spend $79,900 some dollars. I don't anticipate spending that, but I would like to have it so that we can do the work that we need to do. If we only need $35,000, we'll only spend $35,000.
And more and more cities are putting in splash pads. So I think that, some of the concerns about the freezing and everything, have probably been addressed.
Okay.
Yeah, well, yeah, let's hope it's 10, 15 years down the road.
Bob just brought up a good point. This organization that's fundraising for this, they have replaced broken items and damaged items over the years. I mean, they're not they're not trying to put a burden on the city. They're trying to do something better for us, but there will be cost to it, Yes. Yeah. They've been very good to the city. I mean, but there is cost that we incur with this. So, yes.
The pool regulations, I mean, is when they winterize the pool
Yes.
that's probably when this would be winterized
Yes.
as well.
Yes. Maybe even a little bit sooner, I don't know, but yes, it'll be the same time frame there, give or take.
Robert,
Mhm.
before we move to the next page, right above that one, so it's 430, 6310. It actually says 0. You see it, it's that last 0. It says repair a building of Parks and Rec.
Linda, give that to me again.
430,
430, 6310, service and repair of buildings, park and rec. We have 0 in the budget.
Didn't we roll that over into?
I think we rolled that over
one
into,
lump sum?
We did.
yeah. And we did that a couple of years ago.
Yeah. Well, you can-
yeah.
Yeah, it's just that what it is we have to train certain people to code their bills right so that we actually don't have any expenditures there.
And I looked up, Linda, like maybe I might even have it here in my notes. I did look up and see what was spent out of that, and I don't remember what it was, but
Yeah, I see it. I see here just like, it's 132, and then the
Correct.
year before that was 665. It's very minimal.
Right.
I was just wondering why it was 0. I just wanted to be able to explain to the public because
yeah.
it looks like we're not putting any money towards repairs of our buildings and shelters, but I wanted to make sure that that's not. I just wanted him to explain it to the
Yes.
public and to us.
It's been rolled over into another line item, and like I said, those
line
amounts you
item
see
is that?
there are just miscoding.
Okay, so which line item is that?
What did we move that down to? I think we rolled it into,
that was
Is that 6320 or?
is that? Yeah, we rolled it up. We rolled it up into 6320. Property maintenance.
So right below it. So the one we were just talking about, we went ahead and rolled 6310 into 6320.
Correct.
And that's where we're repairing our park buildings potentially and shelters. I assume shelters go underneath that too, right?
Yes.
Gorgeous. Okay. Just wanted to be clear. Thank you.
So the buildings, like at Victory Park, even the shelter there that was done with private funds, but now it's the city's
Yes.
responsibility to
Yes.
maintain that.
Mhm.
And that probably gets, I'm assuming, power washed and all that.
It probably has more labor than it does expense on parts for it, right now. I mean, that's, in the summertime, you're talking about pressure washing. In the summertime, we go down, we try to do it once a week, but we do it, I guarantee, once every 2 weeks, we wash off the roadie shelter house floor. Just, it's not very useful if it's dirty and Yeah, yeah. So like I said, as a rule, we do it once a week, and sometimes it might be once every 2 weeks. Any other questions on that one before I go on to the next one? So we go down to 430-6371. We made changes to the bridge department. We combined it into one building and moved the parks also in with the, let me take that back. We moved the parks in with the bridge, so we have been able to cut down on utility cost at the parks building that was out at Ram Park. It's been a good move. We've seen a pretty substantial savings by doing that on the electricity there. And you can see we had, in our current budget, we dropped it down from 25 to 20, and we're only asking for 20 next year, and I don't anticipate spending that 20, but we've just, in the last 5 or so months, made that change in there, and so I don't know for sure where our utility costs are going to be. So next year, we'll have a better idea, and we'll probably reduce that even more instead of it increasing. The one thing that we haven't been doing, though, is the bridge department has been paying all of the electric bill at that building that those two departments share. And so we are going to start splitting whatever the electric bill is there with the bridge and the parks, combining the two together. So we'll have a better handle next year, knowing exactly what we need to ask for. The 430-6373, you'll see our current budget was 1,200. We've reduced that to 500. We've only spent 364, and next year we won't spend a dime. We eliminated the phone out there. They don't need a phone when they move to a new department. That those two departments share the same phone.
Which two departments are that?
Parks and Bridge.
Parks and Bridge will share the same phone. Okay.
Yep.
Because in this one, we're at 0 because we're sharing a phone at Bridge. But I know when we were talking sanitation, they were up for their phone. I'm assuming there's certain services that might go with that.
Well, the sanitation, I believe we had quite a few expenses on trying to repair the phone, and we continually fought that until we eliminated that phone line. Now we've kept the same number, but we now use a cell phone that we don't have all the maintenance cost and the
Your sanitation.
for sanitation, we're using a cell phone now.
Any of our,
And that's a $4,000 line item,
in sanitation?
sanitation for telephone. I'm sorry, but yeah,
You've
I was
jumped-
just wondering. Okay.
You'll
Yeah,
have to
that's
wait
fine.
till we get to sanitation.
Yeah, yeah,
Yeah,
you're
until we
right,
get to
you're good.
sanitation. Yeah, but just so you know that any of our facilities on the outer edge of town, which is like a lot of them,
Mhm.
water pollution control can't get their phone system working because nobody wants to take responsibility to run new lines down there.
Yeah.
They're running on the old copper lines. They're corroded and breaking. CenturyTel or Windstream says it's CenturyTel's problem. CenturyTel says we're not going to fix it. If we want to run Danville or somebody else down there, it's $30,000 to get one phone line in. So you try doing anything on the edge of town for like sewer to get internet, won't happen. Got to run $30,000 to run an internet line.
And I know
So
animal control has the same issue out there. Okay, I was just wondering because I noticed the telephone had gone up and down, and it makes sense now that you said that you eliminated it there. So
Robert, excuse me, what's the one right above that 6372, the waste management fees?
We don't use that anymore. That's
Okay.
It went down to payments to other agencies. Now the 6413,
It's rolled into that?
it's rolled into that. Yes.
Okay.
And the reason for that is, Gene might correct me on this, or if I don't tell it right, but where we're tax exempt and when we pay to another,
Another taxing agency, another
Yeah,
government agency.
there you go.
Mm.
Thank you.
Is that the same with publications too?
What's that?
The same with publications too, that's zeroed out too? They rolled it.
We don't have any publications. Anything that's publicized that has to do with the parks goes through the Park and Rec. And so then that ends up coming out down here, where's that one at? On, it's a 20.
6402? Oh, no, that's
Nope,
not it. No.
6497.
Yeah, 6497.
Oh, I see.
Yeah.
Okay.
Yeah. So if there's, if they publicize something for an event that they're having in the park, it comes out of that.
Okay.
Does anything, this might be for Cole, anything that's got to do with the Parks and Rec, does that come out of tourism?
Well, not directly, but anything that is not specifically allocated in hotel motel goes into the pool. So for instance, we allocate 70, based upon my projections for next year, we allocate 73% of the hotel motel tax to tourism and tourism activities. The other 25 or 27% then is rolled into the general fund. So you could say, yes, 27% of that can go towards Park and Rec because it's rolled into the general fund.
And we talked about this on a couple of the other budgets. Bob was just saying that the 430-6413 is the same as what the street department had. If we had a windstorm or something to come through, we need to get rid of debris. Then that's the line item that comes out of also. The 6490, we have zeroed it out and we have moved that line item to 6499. We felt that that would be a and the 430-6499, that's where the uniforms come out. That's where the seasonal help comes out. That's where the portable toilet rental comes out. That's where the vegetation control, that's the spraying of the weeds, that's where that comes out. So there's quite a bit that comes out of that line item. And we've asked for an increase from 44,000 to 50,000. Part of that is due to uniform cost have risen some. The cost of porta potties, everything has increased a little bit. And like I said, there's a substantial amount of things that come out of that line item. And so we're asking for a $6,000 increase in the new budget. Any questions on that? And if we move down to 430-6599, we're asking for an increase for the new budget due to expenditures that are taken from this account but are reimbursed back to the city by others, but does not reflect in this line item. For example, this current budget has $9,889.30 that was taken from this budget for park benches, trees, and plaques that was reimbursed back to the general fund, but is not reflected in the current budget.
Well, to clarify, it's reflected in revenues, but what it is you don't put the money coming in back into an expenditure account. So for accounting, for accounting purposes, the only way you see it is if you go into the revenues and you see an increase in donations.
I'm not very
Revenues
good at
into the
explaining all
parks.
Yeah, well, it's revenues into the general
In
fund.
the general fund. Okay.
Correct. But we know internally that that amount that he just quoted is getting reimbursed back into the general fund.
as a general rule, Dan, say an organization here in town wants to go buy 10 trees. We pay for the trees. They give us the check before we ever even order the trees. We know that we have the money back in the city account, and then we go ahead and order the trees and take care of them. So I'm asking for a increase there to 20,000 for next year because we've had several trees have been planted out in Ram Park this year, and so we want to be able to continue to do those programs. Like I said, the budget, Cole explained it better. I'm not the best
So
at explaining
what
all
we're
that.
assuming is while we're increasing it 3,000, we expect to receive that additional back
Right.
as people donate the money for the trees or the benches or something else.
Mhm.
Then the next one, the 430-6710. Another one that came across here at 4:00 this afternoon because we received the money and we also paid out for the splash pad. I increased the current budget to 127,142. That is due, we have spent $114,142 to pay for the splash pad equipment. That money has been reimbursed back to the city and is back in our account. 430-6710. You're probably not going to see that because I just changed it at 4:00 this afternoon. I'm sorry.
Yeah, again, it was a line item that was updated at, well, 3 o'clock this afternoon.
Okay, that's fine.
Yeah.
Right.
Yeah. So all that is just to cover what we spent out and has been given back to us, but we're wanting to increase the current budget to that dollar amount. And then
When that comes back in, it's not going to say splash pad. It's just going to show as an amount that goes
Yes.
back into the general fund.
But when we get the check, we do make sure that we have received the money back that somebody was supposed to pay us. I mean, we do track that. Other expenditures, when I say we want to increase that to 127,000, like I said, 114,142 was spent on the splash pad. 13,000 of that 127,142 is for the replacement of the fence out at Reese Park. We had budgeted $13,000. The price came in at 11,700 and some dollars, I think is what it was. I'm asking to leave the 13,000 there. That gives me a little bit extra. So if we have something more that we hadn't accounted for when we put the fence in out there, there again, if we don't need the money, we're not going to spend it. I can guarantee it. And then in the new budget of 35,000, we have a new tractor budgeted to replace a current tractor that was purchased in 2013 and is used daily during the mowing season. All the tractors that we currently have in the city were all purchased in the same year. Our goal is to stagger these out. They're all getting about the same amount of hours on them, with the exception of maybe one. That's not a good idea. We don't want to be replacing 5 tractors in 1 year or 2 years. This tractor, we are asking to replace it. Some of the other ones we've looked at, instead of buying the John Deere tractors, we're looking at zero-turn mowers. The zero turns are not practical to use on everything. So we do need some of the tractors, and this is one of them that we are asking to replace. What is not shown in this $35,000, Bob has reached out to the dealership that we're working with. They've stated that the value of the used tractors is pretty good right now, and there's a possibility that we're going to trade in the tractor that we have. Might not be the one that we're replacing, but we'll trade in the worst one that we have. So the $35,000 that we're asking for in the new budget might only be $25,000 that we actually need. We might get $10,000 back for the trade-in, but We was just made aware of that not too many days ago, and so we haven't got all the details worked out on that. And they have not come and looked at the tractor, so we really don't know for sure how much we're going to get on a trade-in. But we are trying to trade one in if we can from time to time. Some of them we'll keep if we have our fleet where we're not so concerned about 3 of them breaking down in the same year. We might buy one and then still run the old one to try to get more life out of it, knowing that we have a backup. But the way we are right now, if that tractor was to go down, we don't have anything to replace it with. And so we're waiting 5 months, 6 months, or trying to find money in the budget to replace it. So I don't know if that makes sense or not, what I just said, but.
Robert, in regards to the prisoners that used to be able to come down and help out with the maintenance, it's been a couple of years. I'm assuming we don't have any word on if or when they'll come back. But what kind of impact did that have on the budget when that labor went away?
It doesn't reflect so much in the budget as it does in the amount of work that we're able to get done. I mean, I do feel that the city employees have stepped up and have done an excellent job of picking up. You know, that's 10 guys that we don't have anymore. The downside to that is Bob spent a lot more time out doing the tasks that those guys used to do before, and then it makes it hard for him to get his stuff that he needs to get done also, you know. But it really hasn't impacted our budget too bad. If anything, you know, we've saved a little bit of money by not paying them out, but we've also hired temporary help for the summer that has, I guess if you look at it in that aspect, we might have spent, I'd have to go back and add it up not knowing what we spent prior to me being here, that's when they was here. I really don't know how much we were spending out them, but I could go back and look at that. But I don't think it's really affected the budget too much, but it has affected the workload and you know, just made things a little bit tougher.
Have we had any conversations with them? Do we know if that's ever
About every
gonna
2 or 3
return?
months. The last time I talked to them, I think was probably the 1st of November, and they told me to contact them around February, and they would see where they're at. COVID numbers are back up here, so I don't know, you know, what's going to happen there. They still talk like that we're going to get them back at some point in time, but just when, I don't know. So we do look forward to having them back.
On the tractors, do we drive the tractors from park to park? Do we have them stored somewhere? Do we haul them all in trailer? How do we get them from place to place?
We do. We drive
Drive
them,
'em.
unless we're going out to Joyce Park. When we go out to Joyce Park out on the highway, we do put them on a trailer and trailer.
That affect them being driven on the street?
What's that now?
Does that affect them being driven on the street? Does it make
Well,
the
I mean,
maintenance
it's wear,
more? And
it's wear and tear on them. I mean, but it's wear and tear on the mower, or it's wear and tear on a pickup truck. I mean, it's, you know.
the only reason I ask is because, you know, we're not supposed to drive anything like that on the street. And if we're driving it on the street, that's the only reason I ask. And just seems like
I'm not,
maybe.
I'm not
Well,
aware.
we got this big thing going with the golf carts and all that stuff on the street, but we're driving our tractors from place to place in our lawnmowers, and we've asked the people on Main Street.
Yeah, I don't think that's equipment. I think that would be considered.
Okay,
We've got
As long as we have the slow moving sign.
Yeah,
on
we
it.
have slow moving vehicle signs on them.
okay.
Yeah.
I think though,
What isn't allowed under the current ordinance and that could change with the UTVs is people that use those in the winter to clear snow.
Mhm.
They're supposed to transport them from place to place rather than driving them from place to place.
okay, I just have seen a lot of guys driving them on the street, and I was just asking. And if you think it's the easier fix and it's not destroying the tractors, that's fine. I'm just
No,
asking.
I don't think it's destroying the difference in the city driving the mower, and we would be loading and unloading constantly. I mean, we've got, you know, we'll go from one lot and then we have to go 2 blocks or a block and a half. So that would have to be loaded on the trailer, secured down, taken, you know.
Yeah.
No, I don't feel that it does damage them by roading them down the road. No.
Okay. Robert,
Could we talk on like a little happiness moment in this budget? I'm hoping, on 6497, which is called Service and Rec Programs. It's a $25,000 item. Do you see it?
Mhm.
Okay. Can we talk like just with the public about what that includes? I'm assuming that's like Fright Night and those kinds of things. The fireworks. Yeah. Can we talk about what's included in that? Just that, because that does go back to the community and that we see in big events.
It would be fireworks, Fright Night. Now let's see. What's that?
The
4th of
carnival.
July, yeah. And then you've got Relay for Life. We'll bring people in for that. Juneteenth, yeah.
The big
So
Dam Street Festival.
what's that?
Am I saying it right? The Big Dam Street Festival.
I don't
That
think
one?
any of that money.
No, that one's not
doesn't-
in it?
No, that's not in there
Is
because
that Lake
that's.
Cooper?
Yeah, that's Lake
I'm
Cooper that
sorry.
funds that.
Yeah.
Sometimes we pair up with them, Okay.
And then like their publications, they'll put out like in the newspapers and they run the ad so many times for the paper and then they also paid for, no, they don't pay for that. That's a different program.
I think
And then anything they wanna
last year
buy.
they paid for that Chief Keokuk restoration
Yeah,
and
and General Curtis.
General Curtis. Couple
Yeah.
other things.
So I just wanted to only bring it up just because,
So what we did is we gave them a line item
yeah.
because they were, what were they taking it out of?
Well,
COLA?
what they do is they come in and say, well, we want to do this, we want to do this, and we want to do this, and they were taking it out of the operations budget. And so Bob was coming up short on funds. So we just went in and we said, okay, you've got $25,000 and this is what you can use it for. And so then the park commission can use that to do those different things.
I'm happy to see it there. And I just wanted the public to know that this is all going back towards them, towards those events that we just talked about. So that's great. And then, of course, the statues.
Am I reading that right? That last year we spent $34,000?
I'd have to see what was in there.
Yeah.
Last year we had a 30, the line item was budgeted at 25 and we spent 34. So I'd have to see what was in there.
34,8, 36.
Would that have been when they gave them extra money for
Could that be
fireworks?
like when we did the fireworks? I know it was the pandemic. Where we did the big one, but then we got a donation and maybe that went back into the general fund. Do you know what I mean?
Well, I think we always put $10,000 towards fireworks.
But I think wasn't there an extra
There's an
contribution or
extra
something?
fund thing. Yeah,
Of
because we were
cash.
at the bridge.
Because it wasn't it Lenny's
At the river,
last?
yes.
And last year with the fireworks, we didn't have a carnival, so there was no income. So.
Right.
Agreed. Yeah, that's right.
We're hoping to have one this year. They're working on that. Our park board does a lot of work behind the scenes that
So hopefully they'll have a carnival this year. Will be the plan.
Any other questions on the park budget? Cemetery.
And then the pool.
So the first line item in this one to talk about is 001-450-6413. It's the same as what we've talked about in the streets and several of the other budgets. It's money that's set in there for debris to be taken to the Great River Regional Landfill. We haven't expended anything, which is a good thing. The next one is 001-450-6499. This line item is where the cemetery uniforms come out of. This is also where we take the temporary help that we've been hiring, and Mike, when you was talking about, has that affected us? Yes, we are paying out some for um, temporary help, but we haven't been paying for the supervisors or the,
Gas.
yeah. Yeah, so it's probably about a wash, I would assume.
6490, 450, 6499. You said we're having an increase from 17.9 to 40,000. And you said that was,
We took the money that was, what number is it here? Let me get that. We took 450, 6030, and we zeroed it out. And we took that money and moved it to 6499.
I see.
So the increase in the new budget, Linda, that you're seeing there is that money being rolled into with the 17,900.
Okay.
Actually, not an increase, it's just an
Right,
adjustment.
it's just combined now. Okay, good.
Yeah.
Awesome.
The 450, 6504. We've reduced the amount that we're asking for in the new budget to 9,000. But with the 11,400 that you see, we've only spent a fraction of that, but we are in a cost-saving effort here. We have a mower that is in good shape, machine-wise, but the motor's bad. So we're going to put a new motor on it and continue to use the mower. On one of the zero turns at the cemetery, the body itself is in good shape, the motor's just shot. So instead of buying a new mower, this is the first time that I know of, or that since both of us have been here, this is the first time we've tried that. We're going to give it a shot and see how well we think. Yeah, we think that it's a good move. It'll be a cost savings to the city. The 6710. We have reduced the current budget to 33,000. And out of that 33,000, and we've also, the new budget for next year, we're not asking for any money, but out of the 33,000, we're wanting to replace a 2016 zero-turn mower that is towards the end of its life, if not there. We also, the furnace that's in the current office is an old wall mount furnace that I don't know how it's lasted as long as it had. It's probably been in there since the day it was new. If we was to have a crack in the heat exchanger on it, we would be in trouble. So we have an old window air conditioner. We have a room in that building that the records are stored in, and there's no humidity control in there in the summertime. So by installing new heating and air conditioning unit in that building, we will be able to control the humidity in that building, in that room. We had originally budgeted $38,500 just to replace the zero turn and the HVAC system in that office. Bob's done a great job here of shopping and doing some negotiating. And we've cut that down to 33,000 to replace the mower, the heating and air conditioning unit, and buy a new dump trailer that we can use when the prisoners come back and in our current everyday needs. The reason for the dump trailer over a dump truck is the guys can load the brush, grass clippings, and all the other debris that they need to get rid of into a low-sided, easy to manage, easy to dump trailer. And we think this will be very beneficial to the city. So we're spending less than what we had budgeted and buying more than what we had anticipated.
Mm-hmm. Zero.
Okay, we was going to buy the dump trailer out of that. So we're going to buy, we've we've made enough changes and enough cost savings that we are going to be able to buy all the items that we wanted for 33,000
In the current budget.
in the current budget and not ask for any money for next year. So
Mhm.
no, we're actually going to be able to get that bought and not ask for any money for next year.
Anything else on cemetery?
Just a good job.
We're also trying to look, I know sometimes we spend money in one department and I want the council to understand, we've tried to change the way that we do things and look at things. Instead of one department having one piece of equipment and then another department buying that same piece of equipment, but only they use. I feel if the city owns it, it doesn't matter what department it's in. If the city owns it and another department needs it, we share it. And so that dump trailer kind of falls into that category. That dump trailer will be used at the park, cemetery. I'm actually, the paving bricks that we're talking about, putting the rock in out there and the pavers in Ram Park, that's how we're going to do that, is we're going to put chip rock in there. This trailer will have a tailgate that'll allow you to dump out of it, but keep it real close. And we're going to spread that rock real thin over the top of those pavers. And so I think it'll have multiple uses and be very beneficial. Sanitation.
What?
First line item here is 670-840-6320. This line item is what we use to make repairs to the equipment storage building. This building is structurally sound, but is in need of some tin replaced on the outside of it. Instead of spending a whole bunch of money at one time, what our goal is that we'll do a certain amount of repairs each year. It's one where they store the garbage trucks out there at sanitation, that old metal building. It's a steel truss building. I mean, it's a sound building, just the metal on it's pretty well gone. So the money that's in the 6320, every year we're going to try to replace a section of it and just keep working our way around it. The next one is 840-6331. The cost of fuel has increased. That's, we've spent so far this year more than what we expended in the whole year last year. That's just due to the increase in cost and fuel. Nothing's really changed. The new trucks don't burn any more fuel, I don't believe, than the old ones do. It's just the cost of fuel has risen, and so that expense has risen also. $840-6373. There's where we was talking about the cell phone. And I think, Linda, you was asking why that's zero.
In parks, it was 0. In this one, it's, 500 down. I just got myself confused. This one doesn't actually say sanitation anywhere, like in a line item, but in sewer, it had sanitation/sewer. So I was thinking I was actually in sewer telephone versus sanitation telephone. Anyway, sorry.
Okay.
That's my bad.
Well, the cost on our phone is going to actually go down out there. The cell phone is cheaper than what the landline was. And it works a whole lot better because the working foreman at the sanitation is able to take this phone with him. And he's in and out of his truck multiple times in an hour. And so if somebody calls and leaves a message, he's able to get that message within 15 minutes or so before it would be break time or lunchtime before they would check the answer machine and get back to somebody. So it's worked out well.
Going back to the fuel cost, how are we able to lock those prices in for the city fueling over a period of time, or how does that
Well,
work?
the way it works is similar to the airport. We have our bulk fuel facility. And so we, when we need to, we look at the price and buy it in bulk. And I know there's been times where they come in and I can get, I only really need this amount, but I have capacity for this amount, and if I get a price break, right? And so, we'll do it that way. But it isn't one where we can contract. I think what you're talking about is if we can contract and then we get a fuel price for that for 12 months, which means that sometimes it could be higher and sometimes it could be lower. But I think we just go as we need it. We look at the price and try to time it correctly.
840-6380. We had an unexpected repair to the building. One of them was an accident that occurred out at the transfer station. When our garbage trucks were new, the employees weren't, I guess, accustomed to driving that truck. The can up on top, they didn't have it tucked all the way down into the top of the truck, and we struck the canopy. And we had some damage to the building that we had to take care of. That was around $3,000 of that, and then we had some other repairs to the building out there that we had to take this year. So we just had some unexpected costs that have not been nice to our budget. $840-6402. It just, the reason for the increase in that line item is just the cost to put our publications in the newspaper has increased. $840-6413. We've increased this budget due to the fact that Great River Regional is increasing our recycling fees by $1.50 a month per household. They've also discussed increasing the tipping fee soon, but that is not included in this new budget. But we did include the $1.50 a month for the recycling into the new budget. And I think Cole and I was just talking this afternoon. We have not officially received that information, but we're pretty certain that it's coming.
What's that?
Yes.
Well,
We did.
we just increased our fees and starting January 1, and we'll increase again July 1. Yeah.
Yes.
So the increase on January 1 was essentially a wash. We increased it, I believe, $2, and so we'll get 50 cents out of that.
Okay.
Yeah.
Nice.
Yeah. 840-6490. This line item was moved to 670-840-6499. So we took the 10,000 that was in the current budget and moved it down to the 6499. Any questions on that, is there? 840-6504. This increase is just due to the parts. Everything has increased substantially this year, and this line item reflects that. $6710. Money had been budgeted for crawler repairs. We feel that this is something that we can put off. The crawler is not something that we use on a regular basis. It is a piece of equipment that is nice to have, especially during flood events. We have some piles of debris that's been out at the old sanitation department for quite a few years that should not be there, and we want to get rid of them. It'll make it easier to maintain the grounds out there, and it'll also keep us in compliance with the DNR, because the DNR states that we're not supposed to have vegetation or any kind of debris stored on that site. So the crawler is going to be used for that, but there was $20,000 budgeted to redo the tracks on it. I went out and looked at the tracks. I've talked with vehicle maintenance. Bob and I both looked at it, and I do not feel that it's necessary at this time. There might come a point down the road that we would want to do it, but I don't see it anytime in the near future. I'm going to say, when I say near future, in the next 3 to 4 years, I don't see spending that money to do that work. So we've cut 20,000 out of it on that line item.
Mhm.
8406723. We'll have some discussion on this one, I think. Where did I go with it? I don't see it on my sheet here, but anyway, we can go through it. Cole, what do I have for 6723? What's the dollar amount?
That's the truck, so it's 130.
It's 130. That's what I thought. Okay.
And again, that's an update. It got to me at 3:00 this afternoon.
So we're asking for money to purchase a new recycling truck. Right now, we currently use 2 one-ton trucks to do the recycling in the city of Keokuk. The one truck, the bed height on it is 5 foot. The second truck is 6 foot. So you can imagine the truck is this tall, and a guy has to take the recycling tub or a trash can or whatever it is, lift it that high to dump it in the back of the truck. And when we say that's 6 foot tall, so once you get recyclables piled in there, now you're looking at 7 or 7.5 foot. The guys take, they got sticks that they carry on the truck. We've got all kinds of little creative ways that they try to compact this stuff and shove it to the front. On windy days, I actually had the pleasure of doing a cycling route here a few months ago when COVID hit us and we was short some guys, and it happened to be one of them days that the wind was blowing about 30 miles an hour, and I bet I stopped more times to pick up trash that was blowing out of my truck than I did to pick up the actual recycling itself. So we've looked into what other options we can do, and we've looked at multiple options. We've not locked into anything. We have a budget number of $130,000 to buy a Packer truck. So what that will be, it'll be similar to the old garbage trucks that we used to have, but on a lot smaller version. It would have a 9 cubic yard box on the back of it.
It'd be like a satellite truck.
And
Small compact truck.
yeah, it'll be a small compactor truck. Just, it won't be anything in size to what our large trucks are. It will be a 4-wheel drive is what we're looking at. And the reason for getting a 4-wheel drive, this truck will be set up. It'll have a lifter on the back of it that'll be able to pick the cans up that we currently have. So in weather like we've had here lately, some of these alleys are steep. It's hard to get into. This truck will be able to go pick up those cans as opposed to the large truck going up it. It will mean that a guy gets out and manually puts the can on the back of the truck, but it's something that we can do. So we're looking to use this truck in multiple ways. But now when we fill the recycling truck, approximately every half an hour to every 45 minutes, we have to drive to the transfer station, dump the truck, then drive back to the area that we're picking up the recycling. It's going to cut down on the amount of trips that we go back and forth. Probably the biggest thing that I can say that this truck is going to benefit the city on, one shoulder injury, one back injury, we're going to pay for this truck. And
It's a compact truck, will they let us compact the paper, the cans, the plastic all together?
Yes. When we pick up recycling, we don't separate the
I know you don't
recycling.
separate it, but
It'll all be,
how much are you compact, I mean,
yeah, we can compact it all.
and they don't have a problem with that, because someplace, somewhere, it's gotta be all separated back out, that's why I was.
I don't know how they separate it up there, but no, it won't, it will not be a problem.
Right now, they just,
If it can be compacted, that's fabulous.
they just
Yeah.
go in and push it into a truck and send it on its way.
Oh, it'll probably hold, if you was to fill the truck, you could fill the truck 5 times probably for what this truck will hold.
And the advantage to it is that Robert thinks that, right now we have 2 guys go out in 2 trucks.
Yes.
That he thinks that with 2 guys, with 1 guy going out and loading it in, and I've got pictures, and this isn't the exact truck, it's similar, because is the one you're looking at a backload or a side load?
Backload.
Backload. Okay, so this one is not a backload, but it's similar. This is what he's looking at, similar size. What it is, he can send 2 guys out in 1 truck and get the routes, those 2 routes done in the same day.
We're thinking they're going to make 2 trips a day out there, and just like Cole said, we're
1 truck.
We haven't tried it, so I can't promise that it will work, but I'm pretty certain we can put 2 employees in 1 truck. The back, yes,
Yes.
it's between your knees and your waist is the height of it. So when we look at this, we're looking at $130,000. Another savings that we have to this is we, in the capital, had
There's that one.
another 1-ton truck planned to replace the 2 1-ton trucks that are at sanitation now. Will be transferred to another department and still used. So instead of spending $45,000 to replace the truck in the Parks Department, we're going to take a sanitation truck that we're no longer going to need and replace it.
And
Another
another
engine
advantage
truck.
is that Robert's also talked about is that after the day after a snow, if we have to go out and collect garbage, it's hard for the big trucks to get into the alleys that haven't been cleaned yet. Whereas a smaller truck with 4-wheel drive would be able to get in. They'd still have to get out and hook the trash can to the back and lift it in, but they could get into those tight areas.
And it wouldn't be used in the whole city. It'd just be used in them spots that we're having trouble getting the trucks up to because the hill's icy. It wouldn't be used all the time, and honestly, it would probably pick up in bad weather. It might pick up 20 or 30 cans a day. I mean, the other trucks will still be out running, but the real steep, similar to what you have over there, John, that's areas that we would use this truck.
Yeah.
Well, and then the nice with the wind you mentioned earlier too, with the bed trucks that you guys have now.
Yeah.
I mean, I get constituents talking about, like you said, losing it on windy days. So this will stop that, which also decreases litter and just a good benefit.
Is this used for garbage or recycle? I thought.
It'll be used for recycling, but in the wintertime, in the summertime, you have recycling 1 week and you have yard waste the other week. So this truck would be used for both of them. It would do everything that the 1-ton trucks are doing. But in the wintertime, you only have recycling on every other week.
But won't it be pretty nasty if you use it for regular garbage and then
We'll
you
hose
switch
her
over
out.
to?
We've got plenty of options to hose the truck out. So it won't be, Dan, it won't be used for garbage very often. That's not going to be what we're saying is that there is the rare occasions during the winter time that, this last storm that we had here, we had 2 days where it melted and then it turned around and dropped off to 0. And so we spent 1 day going and getting the trucks pulled out. And then for the next several days, we have a sander truck driving around in front of the garbage trucks just for those bad areas. So once in a great while to be used, and the times that we would be using it would be in cold weather, so you don't have the spillage and all the stuff in the truck that you normally would have in the summertime. So
Also, we used to have the recycling trailers in different locations, couple of different locations around town. Are we gonna go back to that?
No.
Keeping them separate?
All that has
Yeah.
been moved out there,
I
and
know it is. I'm just wondering if,
I'll tell you the reason why it won't come back unless somebody forces me to do it. We had, every day, we was cleaning TVs, bags of baby diapers that was thrown into there. It was so abused that it wasn't worth it. I mean, we had guys every day having to climb inside them things. There were some days that we just took the whole trailer out and dumped it into the trash because there was that much. Sure. That's the reason why there is no more recycling trailers. And so it's well lit. They have cameras on it, so they're able to monitor, if somebody is doing something they're not supposed to be doing, they're catching them.
It's great
So,
out there.
yes, it was nice for people in town. I completely understand that, but, oh, yeah. Yeah. Yeah.
You find couches sitting in front of the
Yeah.
chairs.
It was just abused. And,
Car parts.
and I will say, I don't know this for a fact, but I know what we did observe. I mean, I don't think that it was all our citizens of Keokuk that was contributing to our problem. So.
It wasn't that many years ago that we had a problem trying to get the streets opened up, and trash cans had to go clear to the end of the alley. And they had you put your name and stuff on it. Right here's another one of them cases, not on the flat, but like my hill, probably the steepest alley in town.
I don't want to say that this truck will be used for a actual refuge truck, but in the instance that it needs to be, that is something that we did look at, but.
We'll send it down to that.
Right.
If it needs to be.
It will be used for recycling. Yes.
Yeah.
Yes. Yes.
Yeah.
Yes. No. Like I said, it'll actually cut down on one vehicle. That's what our hopes are. Now, like I said, we have not actually done it, but
We just need to put it together,
Right.
And once we get the truck, just figure out how to make it, how we can make it work.
right. It would only be on the rare occasion. The manpower is still used. Right now, all your recycling is done by hand, and all your yard waste is done by hand. And like I said, I don't want to say that this truck is going to be used to pick up the garbage can. The big trucks are going to be used for the garbage cans. It would only be, right, I would rather extend this truck up in an alley than do what we had to do the other day, getting that garbage truck pulled out of the ditch. So, when it comes down to safety, we would use this truck in that rare occasion. Then it would be two employees, myself or Bob or somebody. It wouldn't be one of the other guys pulled off. One of us would go. Well, they won't dump it by hand. This thing will have a lifter on the back of it. All they'll do is pull it up to it, and then it'll grab it and dump it. That's what I'm saying. The truck will be set up to dump our cans. They won't dump it by hand. They will just have to bring it to the truck instead of the arm reaching out and getting it. So, but like I said, also the truck that this would replace out at the sanitation department, instead of purchasing a new 1-ton truck in another department, we would take the truck that's being replaced and transfer it over, saving the city $45,000 or thereabouts. That's it for sanitation, unless somebody has a question. Okay. Next one's the bridge department. First line item is going to be 690-850-6320. We have not spent virtually any money out of this account, but don't let that deceive you. Federal Railroad Administration happened to be driving down the highway about 6 months ago, and he looked over to our bridge, and he's the guy that does the inspections, and he cannot figure out how come he hadn't been to look at Kilcook's Bridge. So he contacted us and come and seen us. And that in turn cost us money. So when you look out on the bridge, there's little step outs where if somebody was out there and a train was to come, that you'd have some place to step. They're in poor shape. We have some areas that needed to be addressed as far as the hand railings put up. We're getting quotes on that right now. We do not know what that's going to cost us, but that's going to come out of this account. On the one that's closed, that you can't walk on.
Oh, no.
That doesn't matter.
Actually, on the rail portion of the bridge. So what it is, if you're out there inspecting and doing something and a train comes, you have to be able to step off without jumping in the river.
No, it's for us, or it's for, so we asked that question. We said, we put a derailer, so there's no way a train can come out there. And he says, well, you can't guarantee that. So it's federal government. Take it from there. We also have, we're due for, what do they call it? It's an underwater underwater inspection of the bridge piers. I'm waiting on Majesty and Masters. They're the engineering firm that inspects our bridge every year and gives us updates on it. They have not given me the price on that, but we're also waiting on that. So out of the 55,000 that is in that line item, I'm going to tell you that we're going to come close probably to spending all that. I don't know what we're going to spend, but I anticipate the cost for meeting the Federal Railroad Administration's wants and needs on the bridge and doing the inspections. I do fully anticipate that we're going to spend a pretty good chunk of that 55,000. Last I knew, it was a little over 2 million.
What, in the bridge fund?
Mm-hmm.
No, that'll show on the balance sheets. But every year that's slowly dwindling because we're not bringing in nearly as much as what's going out. The only time that we've done that since I've been here was we loaned the general fund for the snowplow at the airport, and this is the last year of repaying that back to the bridge fund. No, I won't. If we borrow from one fund, we're paying it back.
Yeah, and we're still not.
Yeah.
I just received the digital copy today of the bridge inspection. So as soon as I have the hard copies, I didn't hand them out last year, but I will give every one of you a copy of that. And so you can look at what the bridge inspection report is, and it'll show you what the needs and and expenses are going to be in the future. 6332. We spent more than what we budgeted. This was due to, we had a truck that the underside of the bed supports had rotted out of it, and we replaced the bed instead of replacing the truck. And so I think it was $3,500 or $3,600. We put aluminum flatbed on the truck that we anticipate when that truck, we run the wheels off it and we have to get something new, we're going to take that bed off and stick it on another truck. So 850-6373. This line item, if you look back and see what we spent over the last 2 years, has been under budgeted. I'm just asking to increase the budget, the new budget amount to reflect what we've been spending and to cover our costs. The cost for that line item, most of it is for the phone and internet at the bridge department. When they was down at the old building, Cole was referring to that earlier, we was not able to get internet down there. With Bob having access to the internet makes it a whole lot easier to do his job. $850-6490. This is where the bridge inspection for Majesty and Masters that I was just talking about, we pay them a monthly fee. Their fee from last year to this year increased by $435 a month. That's the reason I'm asking for the increase in the new budget to $25,000 is to cover that cost. $64.99. We are reducing this line item. In the past, the seasonal help that was used in other departments or other parts of the city had been coming out of this line item and trying to better track our expenses and cost and to make sure that we're charging the right areas. We have moved the seasonal help. We've divided it up between different departments to reflect where they're actually working at. So we're reducing the new budget by $15,000. I really don't know why we didn't do the current budget, Cole. We want to cut that one. We could probably cut that
Well,
down.
that's because I haven't done the re-estimates yet.
Okay.
So.
Okay. I didn't know if I overlooked
Yeah,
that or not
no,
when I talked to you, so.
I'm still working on getting all of the right numbers for the upcoming budget, so.
Going through all these, there's some things that I've missed, so I just want to make sure it wasn't something that we missed, so. The $65.99. That line item is just, it's kind of a miscellaneous. We don't have a whole lot of line items in this budget to cover everything, and so that's where most of the supplies in general for the bridge department come out of. The 6710, this is where I was talking about that we had a 1-ton truck budgeted for. We are purchasing a new truck in another department because of age and need. If we take that truck and move it over to the bridge department does not use it on a daily basis where it does in the department that it's at. The truck still has some life in it, but it is getting to where it's not dependable for everyday use, but I do think for what we're wanting to do here at the bridge department, it will. So we're going to take another truck from another department and move to this department, and that will in turn cut the current budget from 65,000 down to 35,000. No, that's a sewer department truck. They've got a 2-wheel drive, 1-ton truck out there that I don't remember what the year of it is. Yes, that one there's still in there.
Yep.
Yeah. The truck that the manager at the sewer department drives is a half-ton. It's a 2013 half-ton truck. And so we're upgrading his truck to a 3/4 ton. And so, let's see. We are asking in this current budget, which was already in there, we're going to replace a 1993 truck that is one of the snowplow trucks that's in the bridge department. We are going to replace it.
That'll be in this, the current year budget, under the current year. So see, if you see, the 65,000, right, that's where that's included.
No, Cole, let me rephrase this. We've budgeted 35,000 in the current budget to replace one of the 2013 tractors. We was wanting to get a truck this year. We was wanting to replace the 1993 truck. And with the shortage of whatever parts that you can't get for them, we've had to move that to next year. So in the new budget, we're asking for 45,000 to replace the 1993 truck. In this current budget, we are going to replace one of the tractors that is a 2013.
So we flip-flopped them.
We flip-flopped them, yes.
You understand, Dan? Okay, so what it is the current budget reflects more than just a truck. So what it is that current budget is going to be reduced, and they're going to buy a tractor out of that and move the truck to next year. I think the truck and the tractor were both programmed in this year, correct?
It was. Let me try this again. I apologize. When I got all these, I'm trying to keep all my stuff straight in my head, and I'm trying to keep my notes straight. And every year I'll figure out that I need more notes, and I'll hopefully do better every year. But this year we eliminated the 1-ton truck from the current budget. We are going to move a used truck from the sewer department to the bridge department to offset that. So we've actually eliminated that clear out of the budget. We're not going to ask for that money again. We're asking for a new pickup truck in next year's budget to replace a 1993 truck. And this is one of the ones that we use as a snowplow. And we referred the other day in the council meeting, to how well the street department cleared the snow. These guys also move a lot of snow in the city of Kilco, not to the magnitude that the street department does, but they do a lot of snow removal that people don't really know about. We are going to replace the 2013 tractor that was already budgeted in this current fiscal year. And this tractor is one that was purchased in 2013, and we're trying to replace them and stagger them out. And we are going to look at, like I talked earlier, is it worth trading it in? Is it worth keeping that tractor? And if they're not going to give us much trade in, we're going to run it till the deck falls off the bottom of it, and then we'll get rid of it. So, did that explain it a little better? I know I was kind of mixing you up there to begin with, and I was kind of confused myself until I read my notes a couple of times. So I apologize. Did I confuse you?
No.
Okay.
Got it.
Any questions on the bridge department? We can see it doesn't me either. So that's the end of Bob.
Thank you, Bob. You too.
Next is the Verity.
Flood wall maintenance. Flood wall swimming pool.
Flood wall maintenance. I can't really ask those guys to stand up here and try to explain something that I'm the one that.
That being said, Robert does sit down with each of them and work through the budget.
Yeah. Honestly, I know we've been working on it for at least 3.5, if not 4 weeks daily. So, flood wall maintenance, 001-140-6320. The current budget was for erosion control that was not in the scope of work under the FEMA project. We had an area that needed addressed because we had weeds growing on it. We can't have the weeds. We had to kill the vegetation on it, and it needed armored rock. They called it just large riprap, large rock needed to put on it. I don't really know why it wasn't put on when the expansion was done on the pump station, but it wasn't. So while the contractor was there, it was an easy time to get it done. And so that is the reason for that expenditure. I don't have that number right in front of me here, but it was the 6320. If you have questions on it, I'll look at it deeper, but does everybody understand that? And we're asking for $3,000 for next year in the new budget. And that is just to cover these last couple of years when the high waters came up. Although we haven't had any flooding, when the water does raise, we had some boils down there that required us to go down and add some rock, do some repair work. And so that's what the $3,000 for the next budget's for. 001-140-6710. This is the money that is the city's portion for the FEMA project that restored the forebay back to pre-flood condition. We had a contractor come in and dig all the silt out of the forebay and get it back to where we had the proper amount of containment for FEMA. Any questions on that one? Swimming pool?
Swimming pool.
001-445-6499. The city benefited financially as shown in the cost for the operation of the pool in 2021 in that line item. I know that we probably had a few things that people would say, why did we do this, or can we do this different next year? And absolutely, we'll look at what we can do better, or what can be changed, or what can be handled however. But I personally felt that the Y done an excellent job of managing the pool this year. 001-445-6506. You'll see the expenditure there. That was used for an AED defibrillator replacement parts. They have a shelf life on them, and once they get so old, we have to replace them, and that's what that money was spent for. 001-445-6750 is for maintenance of the sand filtering system and replacement of the water walk net.
Questions on swimming pool? Yeah.
I just had a quick one about the concession stand 16503. We had it right now, it's a little $1,200. It's not very much, but we have it at zero. I was just wondering. I know that joysticks was in there, so I wasn't
Linda,
quite sure why we had.
No,
I looked it up. I don't, what's that? No. What number was it again?
It's 445-6503. It's called concession swimming pool.
Yeah, it's supplies for the concessions. It's either been miscoded, or it could be that
No,
there was.
that was, what did I tell you on here? That was that's where the defibrillator parts come out. And I don't know why they was taken out of the concession.
That's going to be moved to repair and maintenance.
Yeah, that's been miscoded.
But that's what it was. The $1,202 was the defibrillator parts.
Okay. Thank you.
Mm-hmm.
Yes.
I just told you wrong when I typed up my notes here. It was supposed to be 6503 instead of 6506. So 6503 was the defibrillator parts.
Okay.
I said 6506, but I made a mistake there. Any other questions on the pool?
I talked to you before, Robert, about the swimming lessons, and I was just wondering, Well, I'm not wondering. I was just hoping that at some point you could talk with the Y as opposed to having the swimming lessons that we have to do the Red Cross.
I've got some notes in there. I did dig into that after I talked to you. We have not done Red Cross swimming lessons since 2015, I believe, if I
And
was
that was
correct on that.
because it was expensive.
And I'm going to talk to the Y. I have not talked to the Y about it. I just went back and looked as to why we hadn't done it or when was the last time we done it. The information that I got was that you have to have a certified instructor, and it was my understanding that was the problem that we was having, was finding a certified instructor. Now, it was also discussed that somebody else is doing the Red Cross lessons, and I
Yes.
don't know if they're certified.
Well, I don't know. Hamilton does Red Cross swimming lessons, and I know a lot of people that take their kids to the Hamilton swimming pool because of that.
Right.
But my problem with the swimming lessons, and I took my grandkids there this summer, my problem with the swimming lessons that the Y provide, what our swimming pool provides is the kids are going off the diving boards. It is not safe. My kids are supposed to learn how to do their stroke and learn how to swim before they learn how to jump off the high dive with the little floaties and stuff on, and that's where my problem lies.
So I mean, the Y has been very good about talking with us and working through certain things. And so yes, I still have that note that we talked about that. And
So are you telling me that the people that are instructing there are not certified?
I don't know. I don't know whether or not there's. Right. You have to have a Red Cross certified instructor to train the lifeguards to be able to do all that.
I do. I agree, Madam Mayor. I took Red Cross as a child in the military. They were at our military bases, and I traveled. I've done Keokuk Pool. I've done Hamilton Pool. The only one I found in the area was out in Donaldson, and I did Donaldson Pool this past year for my children because I wanted them to learn strokes. I wanted them to know it. So maybe, and I do know they have like a certification session there. So maybe that might be somewhere you can get in touch with. Yeah, I can give you that information too. But yeah,
I mean,
it was Red Cross Learn
like I
to
said,
Swim.
we can definitely talk to the Y. The only thing I'll say is I'm not in favor of telling the Y we're not going to let them manage the pool or they have to do that. I think, our benefit. I don't disagree with you, and I 100% agree with having the conversation with them. But I also
I just think it's a huge safety thing, Robert. If you let your 5-year-old kid go off the high dive during swimming lessons with the floaties on, and that kid jumps off, mom and dad aren't watching it good enough, and that kid jumps off the high dive without the floaties on, to me, it's a huge safety problem.
and I don't disagree with you. And like I said, I'm sure that the Y, if we brought a safety concern to them, they're going to be just as concerned about it as you are too. So yes, we definitely will talk to them about it.
Robert, did they move? And again, did they move, like, if you did swim lessons, it got really cold this past summer, like there were some cold
they
weeks in there.
moved it
Did they
over
move them inside? That's such a great benefit too, because I know I got lucked. I had to extend another 4 weeks at my pool because it was all outside and I didn't have the luxury of going inside. So that's awesome that they were able to do that.
And it was the first year. I mean, I hope that it continuously gets better. And I hope that
too.
we can, continue the partnership with them. Next one's traffic lights. 001-240-6320. It is a CenturyLink phone bill was used for the traffic lights to communicate with one another. We've eliminated it. I don't know how long ago the thing became inoperable, but it does not work. And after the 2 engineer techs helping me dig into it and find out why we still have it and what it done, we come to the conclusion that it has no purpose, and so we shut it off. So that line item is going to go away. The 001-240-6350. We have multiple light bases that are in need of welding and fabricating. So the money in that line item, that's what it's going to be used for. Somewhere in my notes here, I've got it down as to how many we had. We have 15 of them that need repaired that we've identified right now. Zero zero 240 6710. The current budget increase is for upgrades to the 3 controllers for this fiscal year. When we budgeted the money last year, the cost has increased from what we'd originally budgeted. The new budget is for the last 3 controllers to be upgraded on Main Street.
Those are the ones we talked about.
Will that get the lights back in sync with each other?
Once we do the upgrades for next year, yes, that will put them all back into sync.
Okay.
Any questions on the street lighting, traffic lights? No, there is no plan. I don't even want to talk about taking any out.
Hey, Dan, that's been already discussed. We're moving on.
I hope everybody's in bed. Nobody even heard us talking about taking any more out. Next one is the Farrell Seal Building. We reduced the current budget by making repairs in-house. We do have some minor roof repairs that will need to be made in the next fiscal year. I do not have a cost at this time, but it should not be a substantial amount of money. The repairs that need to be made this year, we went up and did ourselves. So I don't know how many of you are aware of that warehouse building that sits down on Twin Rivers Drive. The city loaned money, paid money, whatever, for Farrell Seal to build it. And then when they closed up, then we ended up with it back. And the building had kind of been overgrown. Not a whole lot of attention had been paid to it the last few years. I took a few of the departments that had some time with mowing season being over, and they went down and done a tremendous job. We've cut all the trees out from around the outside of it. We completely cleaned all the junk that had gathered in it for 10 years or whatever it's been. And the city of Christmas is currently using that to store their displays inside and be able to work on them. It's the city, we're still using in the building it also, but there was a lot of it that was not being used. And so we've kind of utilized it in that way, but you get a chance, you can drive down there by it and look at it. It looks nice. Looks a lot better than it did. It was an eyesore. That's the only thing I had on that. Anybody got any questions on that one? Street lighting. This is a sore subject.
And-
001, huh?
Yeah, but before we get on, on your budgets, I think that the proposed budget is over 200,000. What it is that's the total amount, expected amount. But I went back and adjusted. That's one of the things I found over the weekend. Went back and adjusted, took out 95,500 and put that into road use tax because that was the agreed upon amount that we would pay out of road use tax. So the new budget amount for that line item, 230, will be $109,500. So 230-6371, $109,500. But as Robert was saying, because of Alliance, audit of the number of poles that are actually in town. We weren't getting charged for all of the poles, so they're now charging us for them, and the annual increase is $21,776.
That's
Well,
for
no,
this,
that's remainder for the
that's for the
fiscal
remainder
year.
of this year.
That's remainder of fiscal year.
And I made a mistake on that. It was 21,778.86. He finally gave me a final different number on that. So, yeah, so total for a year, the yearly increase is going to be $43,557.72. The explanation I got from them, and they are sending me a report showing where we have poles in town and how many we have. Just I asked for that information, but 5 years ago they removed the pole charge on some of the city lights. It was an error on their part. They're not going back charging us for the last 5.5 years, but starting January 6th, moving on, they're going to charge us for them. Any questions on them? One more. George M. Verity.
Yeah. Oh, no, we can do the other ones real quick, because you got the non-rut repairs and your administration. But just simply the non road use tax repairs. So what happens if somebody hits a guardrail or somebody takes out street light or a street sign or something like that? If their insurance pays for it, we get a reimbursement. But because we cannot put that reimbursement back into the road use tax fund, we put it into the general fund, and this is the line item that takes care of those repairs. So while we budget something in there, the only time we expend out of there is when we know we're going to get a reimbursement. If somebody doesn't have insurance or something gets damaged and there's no police report or anything like that, then that comes out of road use tax.
I missed them. Then if we go to Public Works, we got 001-299-6320. I cut this line item. I did not see a need for it at this time. $001-299-6380. This line item has been under budget in the past, and I would like to increase it to cover expenditures. It covers the cost of cell phones, internet, and vehicle tracking for Public Works. And 001-299-6499, I'm asking for an increase in that line item, and that covers the cost of my uniforms.
Sorry, we were just discussing vehicle tracking, like you must be tracking a route, like how,
We can track any vehicle at any time. We know where it's at.
yeah, the company.
That's all right.
Yeah, well, I tell you, it was beneficial in one respect in that I think 2 weeks after we had it installed, we saw that, we had an employee that suffered a heart attack, and the only way we found him was because we could look up where his vehicle was.
Yeah. And then it tracks.
But it's also beneficial in that when we're tracking the sanitation trucks, we can see the routes. And from that, Robert has come up with some ideas that might improve the efficiency so we can get the routes done faster.
And it has, say, for example, the sewer department, they get called in sometimes at nighttime, and there's just one guy that comes in and they go to remote locations where a lift station or something that the department manager, he can look on his phone instead of having to wonder, did that guy get down there and get back out? Is he safe? He can look on his phone and it shows that vehicle is back at the sewer department. It shows what time it got back there. It also, when we had the prisoners, when they take the prisoners back and forth, if at some time, say the supervisor was supposed to be back at 4:30 and at 4:45 he hadn't showed back up. You could look on your phone and see right where he was at. So. Now we can go to the Verity, can't we?
Now we can go to Verity, but there was a change on that because the only thing that's in there is the $3,500 is from the grant, because the $50,000 that is ARPA funds, we've set up expenditure accounts in special revenues to pay those directly rather than having to do transfers and everything else. So that 50,000 is still in the budget, but it's in special revenues, which will be covered next Tuesday.
So in 001-420-6710, there's $3,500 is grant money that was given for repairs to the floors by the Keokuk Area Foundation. This money will cover the cost of materials, but not the labor to do the work. The labor will be paid out of the Verity budget, the normal operating budget.
That's it.
You did so good, Robert.
Mhm.
So moved. Thank you, Robert. That was tough.
Push red buttons.
Came back on.
Ours. Well, what'd you do that for? We started out with a remote control that wasn't infrared, it actually had a sonic sound to it, right? And if there was too much noise in the room, my dad was in there. All right. Oh, I'll get it to him.